Chapter 61, Wood Carving Master, 3 immortals riding oxen pondering over the sword. Snowflakes drifted down, icy to the bone. Yet Li Chei's heart was full of warmth and excitement. The effect of the 4th Dao fruit could be simply thought of as a type of surveillance, a guarantee of his daughter's safety. As long as the divine chess piece he had condensed was by Xi's side, should she encounter any danger, he could appear beside her in the quickest possible time. For an old father, such a Dao fruit was the most reassuring of all. In Feilei City, the spirit infant sect's threat had yet to subside. It even showed signs of escalating, and Li Chei was very clear that the spirit infant sect must have inextricably complex entanglements with the city lord's mansion. Spirit infant sect. Li Chei's eyes narrowed as he pinched the white chess piece condensed from divinity in his hand. This menace, he didn't know when it could be dealt with. Senior Li is investigating the main altar of the spirit infant sect. I wonder if there have been any gains. If the spirit infant sect could be eliminated, it would naturally be a great thing for Feilei City, and parents with children could sleep more peacefully at night. Li Chei exhaled deeply. He continued to attempt research on the chess Saint Dao fruit within the workshop. After condensing 3 white divine chess pieces, he was unable to condense any more, which meant that 3 chess pieces were his current limit. Only 3 chess pieces, hey, 1 for Xi, and 1 to place on my wife is probably enough. If the maturity of the chess Saint's Dao fruit increases, the number of chess pieces condensed will also correspondingly increase. Li Chei pondered thoughtfully. With the thought, a flow of light appeared before his eyes. Name, Li Chei. Bonds, Li Nuangzai, daughter. Dao fruit, immortal artisan, LV3, 10%, dragon elephant Vajra, LV2, 49%, pure heart, LV1, 20%, chess saint, LV1, 1%. Prototype of divine powers, immortal worker, 1000 analyzing hands. Seeing the overall improvement on the panel, Li Chei's lips couldn't help but turn up in an arc. Once I break through to channel opening in my martial cultivation, I should be able to bring the maturity of the dragon elephant Vajra Dao fruit to 50%. It's a pity that compared to immortal artisan, achieving LV3 for dragon elephant Vajra is indeed much more difficult. Stretching lazily, Li Chei became increasingly hopeful about the future. What I mainly lack now is the divine secret technique, which is the primary means by which divine cultivators fight their enemies. The divine martial arts I obtained from Guo Zhan before can barely be used. Li Chei had killed Guo Zhan, a blood exchange expert sent by Si Mubai, and obtained the divine martial arts called Angry Cry 100 Ghosts Thunderstorm Arrows, which did not belong to divine secret techniques, but rather to divine martial arts. Compared to Si Mubai's secret techniques blended with rainwater, unpredictable like ghosts and spirits, it was incomparable. Regrettably, in the gifts from Si Mubai, Li Chei did not find this secret technique. However, after Li Chei cultivated the Angry Cry suppressing ghost divinity, he was able to practice the divine martial arts. He has now mastered it to the level of minor accomplishment. Divine martial arts are a bit more difficult than martial arts of blood and qi, requiring a test of one's mastery over divinity, so, Li Chei's mastery speed was quite slow. Converging his essence, qi and spirit, Li Chei completely concealed his divinity while releasing his blood and qi to the level of bone tempering completion. 3 years from beginner to bone tempering completion, it's not considered too exaggerated. Li Chei chuckled. At least it wasn't exaggerated compared to the cultivation he was concealing. He picked a piece of wood from the yard, dried it with his inner strength, and began the wood carving. After reaching LV3 with Immortal Artisan, Li Chei's wood carving skills were getting higher and higher, and he had already reached the level of wood carving master, capable of bestowing divinity into the wood carvings. Li Chei focused intently as his carving knife flowed smoothly, wood chips flew, and silky patterns were outlined, forming a 6-armed bodhisattva fury crying lotus sitting statue. The divinity of heaven and earth seemed to be slowly attracted and adhered to by the wood carving. After the carving was completed, Li Chei used his inner strength to wash it, finishing the final step of the wood carving, and stored it within the vast space of pure heart. This piece, Li Chei kept it for himself, to be used when cultivating the Angry Cry suppressing ghost divinity, just as Si Mubai had done in his training. According to the cultivation methods recorded in the 9 luminaries Angry Cry suppressing ghosts nurturing nature record, divinity could be cultivated from the heaven and earth by oneself, or it could be extracted and cultivated through items imbued with divine essence such as wood carvings, stone carvings, paintings, etc. However, most used wood carvings primarily because many types of wood were inherently divine objects like spiritual wood. Li Qingshan once casually mentioned to Li Che that even within the main sect of the Qianyuan divine sect, there was a specially established wood carving ridge that recruited wood carving masters. The divine wood carvings needed by sect disciples for cultivation were mostly created by the sect's wood carving masters. After completing his daily carving, Li Che fiddled with the 7th-ranked mechanism Bodhi Blood Tears from Tang's Mechanism Essentials for a while. Although difficult, Li Che was almost finished with it. Glancing at the sky, Li Che returned to the cottage in the workshop's courtyard and took out the birthday gift he had prepared for XIXI. Li Che's handmade twist car was hardly a challenge for him at the moment, but it was very nice because it could satisfy XIXI's happiness. He sneaked to play with the twist car in the yard. XIXI was 3 years old now, and he, Li Che, had also become a 22-year-old spirit child. A 22-year-old spirit child playing with a twist car shouldn't be a problem, right? After having his fill of play, Li Che carried the twist car and left the independent workshop. First, he went to Golden Splendor Pavilion, ordered a table full of fine wine and dishes, and asked the pavilion's workers to pack it up and deliver it to his home in the inner city. The Li family had completely moved into the inner city, and the financially robust Li Che had bought a duplex courtyard there. Old Chen had also moved in to live with them. Originally, Old Chen had lived in the outer city for some peace and quiet, but now that XIXI moved to the inner city, he couldn't bear to be apart and wanted to follow. After arranging XIXI's birthday banquet, Li Che then went to Su's Divine Cultivation Institute to pick XIXI up from school. "Daddy, what's this?" Zixi was held by Li Che, one hand around his neck, her big eyes curiously looking at the twist car Li Che was carrying in one hand. "This is a birthday present Daddy made for XIXI, come and play with it." Li Che directly taught XIXI how to use it. Behind them, Big Head Lu Kai's eyes widened as he stretched his neck, watching XIXI happily twisting on the twist car, and couldn't help feeling envious, wanting to give it a try. "Lu Chi brother, do you want to try it?" XIXI said with a beaming smile, revealing her dimples. At that moment, Lu Chi felt that XIXI was simply a fairy from the heavens. However, sensing Li Che's gaze as deep and terrifying as a bull demon from hell, Lu Kai's scalp tingled. "I'm a big kid now, I wouldn't play with childish toys." After speaking, Lu Chi turned his head away, fighting back tears of envy. Su Yu, dressed in a refined white shirt, followed gently behind, but there was a hint of worry between his brows. "Ha, after celebrating XIXI's birthday with her, I fear I'm going to be busy. The mysterious temple outside the city has erupted in turmoil again, evil creatures are rampaging, and many villages have suffered chaos. The Su, and Yang families in the inner city have formed a clean-up team, and I've been assigned to leave the city for the clean-up task," Su Yu said with a wry smile. On hearing this, Li Che's brows furrowed. "You are from the direct lineage, and such a dangerous task. Why would they send you? Didn't the Yang and families send out members from collateral branches to lead the teams?" Su Yu shook his head helplessly. "I'm used to it. It can also be considered a form of tempering." Su Yu's nature was just like that, too weak, never fighting or competing for anything. "You should fight for it. As a direct lineage member, you should still hold on to the rights you ought to have," Li Che advised. Su Yu continued to nod with a gentle smile on his face. Li Che said no more, raised his hand, patted Su Yu's shoulder, and the chess piece condensed of pure heart divinity silently infiltrated Su Yu's body. Su Yu didn't even notice anything unusual and continued to chat and laugh with XIXI as usual. Night fell. In the courtyard, the moonlight was cool and thin. Li Che had gotten old Chen drunk, who was insisting he wasn't, and after seeing off his great-uncle cousin who had come to celebrate XIXI's 3rd birthday together, he sat down with Su Yu under the eaves. A stove boiled water, and in the boiling water, the green tea leaves tumbled. A bowl of tea after wine is a joy fit for immortals. Holding the crudely brewed green tea by Li Che, Su Yu continued to discuss XIXI's safety at the Divine Cultivation Institute with him. "I've asked Nurse Momo to take care of it, she will personally come to the gate to pick XIXI up. Nurse Momo is an old-timer at the Divine Cultivation Institute and can be trusted. When you come to pick up XIXI, she will also escort XIXI and Lu Chi out of the Divine Cultivation Institute." With the threat of the Spirit Infant sect yet to subside, Su Yu dared not be careless and was deeply concerned for XIXI's safety. Li Che, drinking his hot tea, smiled and nodded. then stood up pretending to go to the inner room, and when he came back out, he had in his hands a half-meter tall statue. "Old Su! Take this 3 immortals riding ox pondering sword statue with you." Su Yu was taken aback. Instinctively, he put down his tea bowl and took the wood carving. The moment he touched the wood carving, he instantly felt the Suansi Lu sword divinity inside him slightly boil. This wood carving had such strong divinity. Surprised and incredulous, Su Yu looked back at Li Che. "Old Li, have you become a wood carving master?" Chapter 62, Visit the Observatory Temple God to get promoted, both father and daughter are treasures. Wood carving master. Looking at the wood carving in his hands, emitting a rich divinity, Su Yu was both shocked and delighted. To carve a wood carving that possesses divinity is to be called a wood carving master, a title that brings great prestige and garners the highest respect in any noble family or clan. Although becoming a wood carving master, there were still ranks among them, classified according to the strength of the divinity endowed in the wood carvings. The divine cultivators, in order to enhance the prestige of wood carving masters, classified their rank based on the strength of the mysterious temples as announced by the imperial court. For instance, after becoming a wood carving master, if one could steadily ensure that each carved wood carving possessed divinity, he was named a 10th capital level wood carving master. When the carved wood carvings reached the 9 luminaries level of divinity contained in the mysterious temples, he was called a 9 luminaries level wood carving master. "Congratulations, congratulations! I knew I was not mistaken about you, I said you would definitely become a wood carving master." Su Yu was very happy, playing with the divine wood carving of the Suansi Lu sword given by Li Che, his eyes seemingly alight. "Now that you have become a wood carving master, I can also undertake the cleansing mission with peace of mind," Su Yu said with a smile. A wood carving master's daughter is basically untouchable, and the Su family would do their utmost to protect her from any harm, to win over the wood carving master. Currently in the Su family, there was only one elderly wood carving master, and maintaining Su Heli's cultivation was already extremely difficult. Therefore, Li Che becoming a wood carving master was naturally given great attention. Li Che smiled, intentionally revealing his talent and strength in wood carving. Not only because the timing was right but also to actively make the Su family pay attention and ensure Xi's safety in Feilei City. Of course, it was also meant to give Su Yu more leverage. Su Yu was completely happy for Li Che, and after saying a lot more to him, hurriedly left. He went to inform the Su family that Li Che had become a wood carving master, to make them fully recognize his importance. The night was cool, and the snow, dense. Li Che watched Su Yu, who had braved the heavy snow and disappeared at the end of the long street, exhale gently. Suddenly, a sheet of falling snow was torn apart. Li Qingshan, dressed in simple cloth, with hands clasped behind his back, appeared in the yard, hunched over, watching Su Yu's departing figure, raising an eyebrow. "You, young man, are indeed one to remember kindness, revealing your wood carving master talent. After you join the divine sect, with this background, Su Yu won't have to worry too much about being bullied in Feilei City," said Li Qingshan with a smile. "It's always easy for honest people to be bullied, having some background makes it less likely," Li Che said as he exhaled a puff of warm breath in the cold air. "Elder, you seldom appear, have you by chance located the headquarters of the Spirit Infant sect this time?" Li Che asked as he poured hot tea for Li Qingshan from a bubbling cauldron. Li Qingshan, not bothering with formalities, took the hot tea and sat down with Li Che under the eaves, sipping noisily. "I've made some headway, almost have it figured out. I thought the Spirit Infant sect was deeply entwined with the government office and would set up headquarters in the City Lord's mansion. I sneaked into the City Lord's mansion, only to find that's not the case," Li Qingshan said, sipping the hot tea and frowning. Hearing this, Li Che also could not help but frown, "Not in the City Lord's mansion. I suppose, the City Lord's mansion, after all, is the Grand Prospect dynasty's official residence. If the Spirit Infant sect were so bold to set up their headquarters there, stepping on the face of the imperial court, once the word spreads out of Feilei City, well, the Temple Control Bureau of the Golden Light Prefecture is not for show," scoffed Li Qingshan. "The Grand Prospect dynasty cares most about its face now, even though the national fortune has declined, but the majesty of a country still needs to be maintained," Li Qingshan said as he caught a snowflake and crushed it into powder. "Li Che, you boy, to think you could become a wood carving master, that is somewhat unexpected for me. It seems you, this old spirit child, are indeed very sensitive to divinity," he said. Perfect, once you're in the divine sect, I can recommend you go to Wood Carving Ridge. Once there, you can better establish your footing within the sect, and it will also be easier to secure the divine wood carvings needed for XIXI's cultivation later on, Li Qingshan continued. Li Che also took a sip of tea, raising an eyebrow. Within the divine sect, is divine wood carving really that tight? Li Qingshan glanced at Li Che, grinned, and said, within the sect, 10th capital level wood carving is naturally not in demand, but the 9 luminaries and 8 extremes divine wood carvings are in very high demand. Li Che nodded, indicating he understood. Now, with the help of the Dao fruit and immortal artisan, Li Che was putting his all into carving the highest quality 10th capital wood carvings. But as for 9 luminaries level divine wood carvings, Li Che had no clue. It was as if he was missing some critical opportunity. Li Qingshan looked at Li Che, filled with emotion. Being a wood carving master is a coveted profession. Those who achieve it, their path of divinity is somewhat secured. However, advancing in rank as a wood carving master is also extremely dangerous. Besides the 10th capital level, advancing each subsequent rank, if reliant only on personal insights, is as hard as reaching the heavens. Therefore, it's necessary to capture the divinity of the temple gods from corresponding level mysterious temples, and embed this captured divinity into the wood carvings to advance. This is why the rating of wood carving masters is similar to that of mysterious temples. It seemed that something had occurred to Li Qingshan as he pondered for a moment. Li Che, boy, have you ever been to the mysterious temple? Mysterious temple? Li Che couldn't help but shake his head. He had heard of it, but had never visited it. This mysterious temple, springing up like bamboo shoots after a rain following the great changes in the world, brought turmoil and malaise to the human world with its strangeness and evil spirits. Even the decline of a nation's power was greatly linked to this mysterious temple. In a few days, I will come to find you, and it just so happens that I can take you to the 10 capitals mysterious temple outside the city. There is a temple god statue in the mysterious temple. Observing the temple god statue and capturing the rank and divinity of the temple god is a key step for a wood carving master's advancement. Taking advantage of the fact that the mysterious temple has not yet advanced to the 9 luminaries level, go for a visit. Once it advances to the 9 luminaries level, it will be too late. It's a good chance to also make use of your horizontal refinement power. Li Qingshan finished the hot tea in his bowl, chewing on the tea leaves as he spoke. Glancing at Li Che, who seemed to be lost in thought, Li Qingshan smiled, shook his head, and quietly vanished, not stirring a single flake of snow. The mysterious temple, hey! Li Che exhaled a cloud of warm breath, watching Li Qingshan disappear into the snowstorm. A flicker of anticipation sparkled in his eyes. It was the kind of anticipation that one feels when about to touch the true wonders of this world. In the inner city of Thunder, Su's courtyard. The lamps were bright, dispelling the severe cold. Seated in the principal seat, the current family head of the Su family, Su Nanming, was carefully admiring a wood carving. After a moment, a hint of unusual expression flashed in his eyes. Beneath him, Su Yu pressed his lips together, his face showing excitement. Is it really a 10th capital divine wood carving? Has Master Li truly advanced to wood carving master? Only 22 years old, right? Impressive, truly impressive. Su Nanming breathed out. A 22-year-old wood carving master. No, it should be said that he had only truly engaged in wood carving for 3 years, achieving mastery in just 3 years. Such talent is truly a treasure. A daughter is a treasure, and so is her father, who is also a treasure. Truly, both father and daughter are treasures. After returning the 3 immortals riding ox pondering sword statue to Su Yu, Su Nanming waved his hand to dismiss him. Dad, now that Master Li is a wood carving master, our Su family must ensure XIXI's safety thoroughly so as not to disappoint Master Li, Su Yu said seriously before leaving. Go on, Su Nanming waved his hand indifferently. Your son takes his leave. Su Yu paused, the joy on his face faded, and he retreated with a gloomy expression. After Su Yu had left, Su Nanming respectfully bowed to the dark area behind the room. An ancient voice drifted from the darkness. Cough cough cough. Qian Yuan Divine Sect has probably sent someone to Flying Thunder City in advance, I wonder who the visitor is. The fall of the Si family had the shadows of the Divine Sect within it, and this Li Nuangzai is a superior grade spirit child. Su's courtyard can't hold on to her, sooner or later she must go to the Divine Sect, and this Li Che, the wood carving master. We can't keep him either. 3 years to reach woodcarving master, his future potential might reach the 9 luminaries and perhaps, the 8 extremes level. Alas, such a person will eventually soar high and will not stay with Su's courtyard. A great change is coming to Flying Thunder City. Since it is so, such a woodcarving master. Why should Su's courtyard sponsor him? The faint and ancient voice, tinged with a sense of disenchantment. Have Heli go tomorrow, bring an attitude, make an offer to buy a 10th capital divine wood carving. If Li Che agrees to take the order, well and good, but if not, let's leave it to the city lord's mansion then. The city lord is currently pressuring the 3 major noble families and clans, and needs to recruit more wood carvers. A wood carving master who has just entered the 10th capital, the city lord, should be somewhat pleased, I suppose. In the darkness, the old and hoarse voice sounded faintly. Upon hearing this, Su Nanming felt a chill all over his body and cold sweat streamed down his forehead. Chapter 63, 1000 Buddha Carving Banquet, Chess Saint watching the game. Xixi's birthday had just passed, and the weather became increasingly frigid. Winter sweet flowers stood proud in the cold winter, touched by pure white snowflakes, and the blue stone slabs on the long street of the inner city were piled high with thick snow, dazzlingly white. Li Che bid farewell to Su Yu, who led the team out of the city to clear away evil spirits, and returned to his own courtyard in Qingfeng Lane. Old Chen sat in a rattan chair, drinking old wine under the eaves, staring blankly at the dry old tree in the courtyard. Old Chen, what are you thinking about? Li Che asked curiously after returning and shaking the snow off his oil paper umbrella. Old Chen's eyes refocused, and he shook his head. When you get old, you tend to space out easily. In a while, the divine sect will send people to Feilei City to select spirit children. If Xixi stays safe during this period, she will likely be chosen to enter the divine sect. Old Chen. I might find it very difficult to see Xixi in the future. Old Chen sighed and took several gulps from his wine gourd. Having spent so much time with the child, a sudden and long separation would truly make Old Chen feel a tightness in his heart, invaded by endless loneliness and worry. Worrying that he wouldn't see the child once he passed away. Then why don't you join us and go to the divine sect to accompany Xixi in her cultivation? Li Che said softly. Old Chen rolled his eyes at Li Che as if looking at a fool. Che, you're still too young. The divine sect recruits disciples and only family members can accompany them. If Xixi joins the sect for cultivation, how could I possibly qualify to follow? Old Chen shook his head. After all, he was someone in his 40s and knew a few things about the inner workings of the divine sect. Upon hearing this, Li Che couldn't help but chuckle. Don't worry. Xixi won't abandon you. It's just going to the divine sect, no problem. Old Chen shook his head. How could the rules of such a colossal entity as the divine sect change so easily for you? Li Che chatted idly with Old Chen for a few more moments before planning to head to the independent workshop to practice his craft. However, before he could leave, there were rustling footsteps from outside the courtyard. Li Che looked up, and the snowstorm was torn apart. 2 figures wrapped in crane robes stepped on the soft snow and approached, gently knocking on the wide-open courtyard door. Is Master Li there? The visitors were none other than Su Heli and Su Baihu. Congratulations to Master Li on advancing to the 10 cities woodcarving master, it's truly joyous and praiseworthy, and indeed a fortunate event for our Su family, Su Heli said with a gentle smile on his lips, a divine sword hanging at his waist. His eyes held a mix of surprise and fervor as he looked at Li Che. Su Heli had truly not expected a mud-legged commoner from the outer city to have risen to become a woodcarving master. It's just luck, Li Che responded with a fist salute. It was clear that the Su family didn't take him as seriously as one might imagine, otherwise it wouldn't have been Su Heli who came but the family head, Su Nanming. A woodcarving master doesn't warrant a personal appeal from the family head? Chen Dabao, who was nonchalantly sitting in the rattan chair, jumped up in shock upon hearing that Li Che had become a woodcarving master, his jaw dropping. What the hell, he didn't know he was the one who taught Li Che woodcarving. Was there no trust anymore? Old Chen stared at Li Che with uncertainty and disbelief. But after all, he was an old hand in the martial world and quickly calmed down, keeping many thoughts to himself, without asking aloud. Su Baihu, standing beside Su Heli, also had a complex expression, his shock at this moment still not fully digested. A woodcarving master relies on true skill and craft, not something that can be achieved with just luck. Master Li, don't be modest. I heard Master Li carved a 3 immortals riding ox pondering sword statue for my younger brother yesterday? I wonder, could Heli request a divine wood carving from Master Li? Su Heli asked with a fist salute. 500 gold leaves, I'll provide the form and the spiritual wood, and although Master Li is a woodcarver for our Su family, according to the rules of wood carving masters, Su family won't take any commission. 500 gold for a wood carving. That truly was an exorbitant price. But for divine cultivators, a divine wood carving that could alleviate months of arduous cultivation was naturally worth it. After all, building a divine foundation and cultivating, every second counted. Li Che looked at Su Heli with surprise, coming directly to request a divine wood carving. The Su family's attitude and reaction after learning he became a wood carving master was truly, somewhat unexpected to Li Che. Chen Dabao by his side also furrowed his eyebrows. Li Che thought carefully. The Ches Saint Dao fruit greatly enhanced his reasoning and thinking abilities. He quickly understood the reason. Shopkeeper, I've just become a wood carving master, and carving that statue for Su you took a lot out of me. I won't be taking orders for now. Li Che shook his head, refusing the deal. It wasn't that he didn't want to earn the 500 gold leaves. Instead, he planned to make an attempt at the Meridian Connection realm in the next few days, allowing himself to have more confidence in the Qi and blood martial path. Li Qingshan said he would take him to the mysterious temple, which Li Che took very seriously, but he was also cautious. The stronger he was, the safer he would be. Su Heli's smile gradually faded, and he did not expect Li Che to refuse, even though the reason was plausible. But he still felt somewhat uncomfortable. Then I've troubled Master Li for nothing. Heli will come another day to request a carving. Su Heli reined in his emotions and bowed with a fist salute. After returning the gesture, Su Heli and Su Baihu, the two brothers, turned and left. Old Chen looked at their retreating figures, his brows knitted. "Ha, you really should have taken that order. Major changes are likely to happen in Fei Lei City, which is why the Su family's attitude towards wood carving masters has changed a bit. They're worried that if they invest resources, you'll just pack up and leave. But if you took the order, the Su family's attitude might have softened a bit." Li Che held open his oil paper umbrella and smiled. "It's fine. Old Chen, now I have the confidence to refuse orders." Once he finished speaking, he stepped into the snow with his umbrella in hand. Chen Dabao stared at Li Che, somewhat dazed for a moment. It was impossible for him to overlap the calm and confident young man before him with the nervous and timid figure who had once sought his help at Su's wood carving shop in the outer city. Could time really bring about such great changes to a person? Inside the luxurious carriage, water boiled in the stove. Steam billowed within the compartment. Su Heli sat expressionless on the soft seat, watching the flying snow outside the carriage window. "I seem to have misjudged. I never imagined that the country bumpkin of those days could one day become a wood carving master. A fish leaping through the dragon's gate, a complete and utter transformation," said Su Baihu as he poured Su Heli a cup of tea. "That is what talent is, producing an upper-class spiritual child like Li Nuangzai. His own talent must certainly be extraordinary. What a pity." Su Heli shook his head. He thought of the words spoken by the old grandfather, and a hint of malevolence flashed through his lowered eyelids. "You carve wood carvings for the third brother for free, yet you won't take an order from me even for 500 gold leaves. You surely think highly of yourself. You have been given face, yet you do not take it." Su Heli slowly closed his eyes and said to Su Baihu, "Go to the city lord's mansion and find Zhao Suanhai. Tell him about Li Che becoming a wood carving master. He has always wanted Li Che to do wood carving, hasn't he? Let his wish be granted." Upon hearing this, Su Baihu's hand pouring tea suddenly froze. Scalding tea spilled out. As the sky gradually darkened, snowflakes floated everywhere. The snowflakes, like goose feathers, scattered across the human world, bringing with them biting cold. On the main street, there were fewer and fewer pedestrians. Although the inner city was more prosperous than the outer city, it had many fewer inhabitants. Therefore, as soon as it got dark, hardly any pedestrians could be seen. Zhao Suanhai wore a bamboo hat, his hand tucked inside the chest of his clothing, his burly figure walking through the human world like a massive bear. Yet as he passed, the snow-covered ground did not bear his footprints. "This Li Che has actually become a wood carving master, how interesting. He truly is a genius. The city lord will definitely like him. The city lord's 1000 Buddha carving banquet will surely be a success if it can feature a wood carving master." Most woodcarving masters were bound to noble families and clans for many years and were reluctant to make a move. A newly promoted wild woodcarving master was too tempting an opportunity to pass up. The Su family is decisive, knowing that they cannot stop the city lord's 1000 Buddha carving banquet. They have chosen to directly sell out this newly promoted woodcarving master. Indeed befitting their merchant origins, cold-blooded and solely profit-driven. He looked toward the independent workshop in the alley. The Su family had directly revealed its location to him. Li Che, oh Li Che! You once refused the silver I offered you to drink a toast, now, you shall drink a penalty. With a step, Zhao Suanhai pulled out an angry childish mask from his bosom and placed it over his face. The wind and snow seemed to pause mid-air, as if consumed and melted away by flames. Inside the independent workshop, Li Che sat quietly as the fluttering snow. Just as it was about to land on the tips of his hair, it was twisted and torn apart by an invisible force. In front of him, on an enmue wood board, Li Che had made a chessboard, its vertical and horizontal lines laid out, but without a single chess piece on it, empty and bare. His palm gently swept over the chessboard. In an instant, inside his chest, the Dao fruit chess saint shook violently. His spirit soared in an instant, and divine patterns of energy, boiling and interweaving within heaven and earth, traced invisible lines like the crisscrossing of lanes and alleys to form an invisible chessboard. Li Che slowly opened his eyes. He saw. At the mouth of the alley, Zhao Suanhai slowly took out an angry child's mask and placed it over his face. He saw him step by step towards the workshop in the alley. Like a black chess piece on the chessboard. Impatiently. Moving towards death. Chapter 64, 100 demons bring wind and thunder with their arrows, Bull Demon Uncle has come again. Snowflakes were scattered in the high sky. Li Che's spirit, like a chessboard brought to life, encompassed the area centered on the small courtyard, his immaculate heart divinity slowly depleting, but Li Che clearly captured the arrival of Zhao Suanhai stepping into the alley. With Zhao Suanhai's appearance here, Li Che understood that the Su family must have sold him out. They sold him to the city lord's mansion, as Zhao Suanhai represented the city lord's side from the start, wanting to recruit Li Che for wood carving, but at that time, Su Heli stopped him. Yet now, not long after Li Che had revealed himself as a wood carving master, Zhao Suanhai had come to the exterior of his independent workshop. Was it a coincidence? It didn't matter, and Li Che didn't care. In fact, he had somewhat anticipated Zhao Suanhai's appearance here. After all, in this world, one must always be prepared for the worst, especially with the Su family's overly abnormal attitude today. Li Che had some thoughts and calculations, raising his vigilance a bit. And now, Zhao Suanhai had indeed come. Looking up, Li Che felt the bone-chilling cold of heaven and earth, the harsh winter of the 12th lunar month, severe and biting. Raising his head, the fluttering snow fell from the high sky, landing on the chessboard woven with divinity by the Dao fruit of the chess saint. Like flames upon charcoal, it instantly evaporated. The Su family, our ties have ended. Li Che whispered softly. With the Dao fruit of the chess saint activated, under his observation, every action of Zhao Suanhai was under his control. Zhao Suanhai, a divine cultivator with cultivation as river-like, yet to step into the divine base, shall we battle? Li Che whispered to himself. If Zhao Suanhai came today, then leave he must, for as a master of the spirit infant sect, Li Che would show no mercy. Such an opportunity. Not keeping him here, he would always become a major trouble threatening XIXI in the future. Can I keep him here? Li Che looked down, as if overlooking the chess pieces on the board from high above. No, he must be kept here. If it really doesn't work out, then use the 6,000 rounds of Namo Gatling wood ravens that he had saved over the last half a year, to blast him dead. As for the trouble that keeping Zhao Suanhai might bring, perhaps some might think of the intricate relationship between the bull demon and himself, Li Che. But what of it? As long as Zhao Suanhai could not enter this courtyard, could not open the door of the courtyard. Separated by a door, divided between heaven and earth. Whether Zhao Suanhai lives or dies, what has it got to do with Li Che? The one who killed him. It's the bull demon. Li Che pulled out a cute bull mask that he had prepared earlier from his bosom, gently placing it over his face. A familiar and comforting feeling naturally arose. Looking up, his black hair whipped about sharply, his eyes abruptly filled with an immense killing intent. Zhao Suanhai! Your uncle bull demon is here again. Creak. Stepping on the soft snow-covered cobblestones of the alley, a very slight creaking sound was made. Li Che, born a peasant, practiced martial arts for 3 years, now has achieved bone tempering completion, which is quite good, a martial arts prodigy and a wood-carving genius. But merely bone tempering completion is not enough to be feared. Becoming a wood-carving master might mean some divinity, but according to the information given by Su Baihu, Li Che has not cultivated the Su family's Suansi Lu sword, so his cultivation isn't like a lamp. Likewise, no need for fear. Zhao Suanhai's figure was burly, the heavy blade at his waist weighing 800 jins, and swinging it with mere flesh and blood could cause massive damage. Zhao Suanhai was not only strong in divine cultivation but also in martial practice, having reached the meridian awakening initial stage, with python muscles and tiger bones, quite extraordinary. To subdue and capture a bone tempering completion like Li Che was as easy as capturing something in the palm of his hand. Even if he was a martial arts genius, he was still just at bone tempering completion, no mishap could occur. Suddenly, with a heavy step, the snow in the entire rundown alley burst into a ripple effect, smashing against the sides of the roof tiles, turning into numerous flakes of snow powder. Zhao Suanhai wore an angry Vajram mask of a furious child, his black rough hair piercing the air like needles. Underneath the mask, his eyes crazily swept the surroundings. Inside his energy center, his divinity trembled wildly, as if targeted by a terrifying venomous snake. Each hair on his body stood on end. Creak. His ears twitched, his pupils constricting like a snake's, as he heard an extremely subtle sound. It felt as if it was very far away. Yet also, as if it were very close. It was the sound of drawing a bowstring. There seemed to be a divine archer, with bow fully drawn, from all directions targeting him, sealing off all his escape routes and paths ahead. He had nowhere to hide, completely exposed to the divine archer's aim. The faint friction of the arrows and longbow as they were drawn was like thunder exploding in Zhao Suanhai's ears. Hu! Zhao Suanhai bellowed, his volatile blood and qi suddenly erupting outward, his wrathful mate Raya divinity in that moment thunderously unleashed. However, the very next instant, the falling snow was pierced and turned into dust. A dark luminescent streak, carrying the sound of roaring wind and thunder, moving as fast as dark thunder, tore through the wind and snow from the end of the alley. Zhao Suanhai was enraged, his eyes locking onto the incoming arrow. This is angry cry. Hundreds of ghosts wind thunder arrows. The Si family's remnants. Zhao Suanhai, having seen and known much, realized who the attacker was the moment he sensed the divinity of the angry cry town ghost within the wind thunder arrow. The Si family, the surviving divine cultivator of the Si family. He dares to assassinate me at this very moment? The Si family, allied with the Su family? Seeking to assassinate me? No. That's not right, the Su family wouldn't do such a thing, they had a hand in the downfall of the Si family. In just an instant, Zhao Suanhai's mind raced with many thoughts. If not for that, who else could have known he would come to this alleyway? Without the luxury of further thought, the arrow was already upon him, the sound of 100 ghosts wailing, the resentment of angry cry entwining the arrow, with countless ghostly shadows looming. Zhao Suanhai roared, stepped back heavily, and slammed his foot down, his blood and divinity igniting explosively like oil on fire. Divinity! Wrathful mate Raya! His divinity surged like a raging river, wildly coursing around him. A colossal mate Raya statue, seeming to be forged from flames, encased him like a golden bell. Dang! The sound was crisp. It was as if an ancient bell that had been asleep for 1,000 years was struck with great force. The metal arrowhead seemed to freeze in mid-air, spinning rapidly and striking against the mate Raya divine statue, sparking countless flecks of fire. Zhao Suanhai's eyes shone brightly, his left hand red-hot like a branding iron, his entire arm twisted and coiled like an angry dragon snake, blocking the arrow in front of him. Angry cry. Hundreds of ghosts wind thunder arrows, containing the divinity of angry cry town ghost, must surely be of the Si family's direct lineage. However, this archery skill has barely reached minor accomplishment, and the contained divinity is merely cultivation as river-like. Just this one arrow, and you think to kill me? Zhao Suanhai snorted hot breath from his nostrils, his fingers hooking as he grasped ferociously, and in a flash, the arrow burst apart, scattering countless splinters. At that moment, Zhao Suanhai was suddenly taken aback. Within the shattering arrowhead, there was a pure white, flawless divine chess piece, like the most incandescent star in the universe, floating amongst the debris. What is this? Divinity! It wasn't Angry Cry Town Ghost, nor Suansi Lu's sword. It didn't even belong to the 7 emotions. Such purity! Zhao Suanhai was mesmerized for an instant. But in the next moment, the white divine chess piece vanished, replaced by a cute bull mask, and beneath the mask, those unfathomable dark pupils. Zhao Suanhai was shocked, as if the peerless beauty he was admiring suddenly turned into a man picking his nose, startling him so much that his heart nearly seized up. The divine chess piece that had captivated him transformed into the bull demon nightmare that had once bombarded him. It almost clogged up his nerves in an instant. Where is my divine chess piece? Zhao Suanhai roared without thinking. Li Che glanced at Zhao Suanhai in confusion, not understanding why he would have such a ridiculous illusion. But without wasting words, he clenched his hand and spat out a long iron spear from the cosmos within the immaculate heart Deo fruit. The dragon elephant Vajra's second stage, Angry Vajra, activated directly. In an instant, his blood chi erupted violently. Under the blood exchange 9 shifts cultivation, the triggered Angry Vajra pushed Li Che's combat power close to the chi meridian peak. He used the wind thunder arrow to carry a hidden chess piece, and then with the ability of the chess saint to move pieces at will, he appeared beside Zhao Suanhai. The best opportunity to deal with a divine cultivator is up close. Li Che gripped the long spear, flicked it to explode myriad snowflakes, and commenced with the Su family's 8 consecutive bone-shattering spears. Countless spear shadows densely pierced through heaven and earth. Transformation Realm. Martial Technique. Zhao Suanhai's hair stood on end. The Maitreya golden body woven from wrathful Maitreya's divinity was unexpectedly broken by this transformation realm spear thrust. Only a transformation realm martial technique could oppose divinity, this martial artist. That this bull demon had mastered another transformation realm martial technique was beyond belief. With the Maitreya golden body broken, Li Che's chi meridian peak level martial artist cultivation erupted without restraint, the overwhelming pressure making Zhao Suanhai's temples throb, his complexion reddening instantly. He tried to release his massive cultivation as river-like divinity to repel the fierce bull demon in front of him and create some distance. Li Che had anticipated this, his expression indifferent beneath the mask. With one hand holding the spear, the other clenched into a fist. The divinity of Angry Cry Town Ghost, extracted from the divine foundation fragment through the 1,000 analyzing hands, melded into this transformation realm punch. The divine base level divinity was irresistible, it utterly crushed his wrathful Maitreya divinity. The divinity of a divine base cultivator was ranked higher than his, creating an innate, rank-based suppression. One move after another, seamlessly flowing, it was like a supreme chess master had calculated every step with precision, even foreseeing dozens of moves ahead. Oppressive, stifling, breathlessly tight. This bull demon had become even more terrifying. Damn it! I'm done for! Zhao Suanhai muttered. Boom! The next instant, the air exploded, and blood and flesh flew in all directions. The falling snowflakes were all stained blood red. Chapter 65, Swallowing the Wrathful Maitreya, Is He the Bull Demon? The thick scent of blood, permeating the space between heaven and earth. Terrifying forces exploded midair, air currents erupting and spiraling with such intensity that snowflakes were blasted into countless powders while spinning at high speed. A hulking figure, like a bear, crashed down, slamming onto the cleared snow of the blue stone ground. The gushing blood spread steadily, like puddles continually expanding. Zhao Suanhai knelt on one knee on the ground, a long iron spear piercing through his chest, shredding the flesh before him to smithereens, sending fragments of flesh flying and leaving a grisly display of broken bones. Su family's 8 consecutive bone-shattering spears. One spear had shattered Zhao Suanhai's flesh and bones. The pride of his python muscles and tiger bones was brutally torn apart. The ferocity of this bull demon's power, even more terrifying than his own as a chi meridian martialist. Unstoppable. Zhao Suanhai understood he had fallen. From the moment he stepped into the alley, the instant the arrows locked onto him, he knew, he had fallen. One wrong step and there would be no redemption. Blood kept dripping out. Zhao Suanhai, with his mask already shattered, lips and nose bleeding, exhaled ragged and heavy breaths. But the bull demon's overpowering and tyrannical life force penetrated his body, destroying his meridians and organs. He couldn't even summon the wrathful Maitreya divinity. The Divine Foundation Fragment. Elder Master seized Divine Foundation Fragment. That higher-ranked divinity completely suppressed him, leading him step by step into the abyss of death. Zhao Suanhai clenched his teeth, staring intently at the bull demon, attempting to see through the face beneath the cute bull mask. "Who, exactly, are you?" Zhao Suanhai asked, his voice hoarse and heavy, using his last strength. However, the bull demon was utterly indifferent. "Hell will tell you the answer." PFF. The long iron spear was suddenly pulled out, bringing up a mist of blood, with countless droplets spraying wildly. With a ripping sound, holding the spear in his hand, the bull demon violently swept through, and Zhao Suanhai's massive head, which refused to close its eyes in death, was ruthlessly decapitated. Like a ball stuck with black strands of hair, it rolled several times on the ground. Li Che watched Zhao Suanhai's death impassively, feeling no inner turmoil. Even though Zhao Suanhai was an imperial officer, one of the 3 great divine catchers of the Yamen, so what? He was also a master of the spirit infant sect. Therefore, Li Che killing him carried no burden, even a sense of unprecedented pleasure. Connecting Qi channels. Cultivation as river-like. Zhao Suanhai, one of the 3 great divine catchers ever since that day of failed conscription, had been a towering mountain over Li Che's head. Now, having felled the mountain, Li Che felt incredibly light all over, his body resonating with satisfaction. This was still without using the 6000 Nemo Gatling as his trump card, without the poisoned Guanyin blood lotus or the treacherous sleeve crossbow, relying solely on his own martial artist cultivation and divine cultivation to kill forcefully and straightforwardly. Happy. Crouching down, Li Che's hand expertly searched Zhao Suanhai's corpse. Unexpectedly, he found a Qunkan jade on Zhao Suanhai's body, which was the same object he had taken from Si Mubai. Li Che's eyes lit up, surprised and overjoyed, as he thought about it. The Qunkan jade was directly stored into the pure heart Qunkan space. It is said that one Qunkan jade cannot contain another, but Li Che's improved space through the pure heart had no such limitation. Looking at Zhao Suanhai's corpse, as if recalling the first time he siphoned a divine catcher's divinity, Li Che raised his hand, his arm instantly flowing with jade-colored currents. He pressed it against the center of Zhao Suanhai's forehead. His inner scene of the energy center vibrated thunderously, and in a flash, a tumultuous divinity surged out. Like a river breaking through a dam, it released wildly. Suddenly, Li Che's heart stirred slightly. In his chest, the chess Saint Deo fruit slightly moved, as if forming a special connection with the prototype of divine powers, 1000 analyzing hands. Originally, Li Che's use of 1000 analyzing hands to extract divinity was limited, exceeding too much would overload its capacity. But with the intervention of the chess Saint Deo fruit, Zhao Suanhai's river-like wrathful Maitreya divinity was being continuously drawn out by Li Che. When 1000 analyzing hands reached its limit, it would transform into a black divine chess piece by the chess Saint Deo fruit and lay on the chessboard. Each chess piece contained the wrathful Maitreya divinity. Li Che never expected that the chess saint would have such an effect. It didn't seem like a proper Deo fruit. Li Che grasped with his fingers in the air. Suddenly, a black chess piece appeared between his fingers. Countless streams surged, stirring his black hair into the air. With a fierce grasp, the black chess piece was directly crushed in the palm of his hand. Boom! A stream of warmth surged through his body instantly. Li Che's eyes seemed to flash with a crimson glint. Wrathful Maitreya's divinity erupted violently. With just a thought, he could disperse the chess pieces and transform the divinity of the wrathful Maitreya into his own. What a chess saint! This meant that any divine cultivator could potentially become his power bank. Li Che was in high spirits, continuing to siphon off the divinity with his 1000 analyzing hands. The river-like divinity was the fruit of Zhao Suanhai's essence cultivation over dozens of years, profoundly majestic. Li Che quickened the absorption rate, and it took around a quarter of an hour to drain all of his divinity. In total, it transformed into 18 black chess pieces. Cultivation as river-like, and only produced 18 chess pieces. Li Che muttered to himself. Or perhaps, other cultivation as river-like cultivators could gather more divine chess pieces? Depending on the different divine methods cultivated, even for cultivation as river-like, the size of the river can vary. After reforming the burst divinity back into chess pieces and putting them away, Li Che pressed down on his bamboo hat, and in the next moment, he grabbed Zhao Suanhai's corpse and head. Looking toward the snow-flurried alley entrance, the corner of Li Che's lips lifted. With a heavy step, the 9 large tendons on his back roared like pythons, his immense strength exploding forth. As the current stirred wildly, he hurled Zhao Suanhai's burly, bear-like corpse. Threw it away with immense force. The Su family's carriage was quietly parked in a corner of the long street, about 30 paces from the alley where Li Che's independent workshop was located. A distance that a divine cultivator with cultivation as river-like wouldn't be able to detect, avoiding arousing Zhao Suanhai's suspicions. The falling snow made a rustling sound upon the roof of the carriage. Su Heli and Su Baihu sat inside the compartment, brewing and sipping tea. The water in the charcoal stove gradually came to a boil, with the green tea leaves poured into it. The steam rose, and the roasted tea leaves unfolded within, turning the water an emerald green. Boiling water was poured into the teacup, swirling around the edge of the cup. Inside the carriage, warmth surged. Su Baihu was somewhat restless, occasionally lifting the curtain to look outside the window. Su Heli, on the other hand, was quite calm, leaning against the goose-down-filled soft backrest, reading a book. Reading books, drinking tea, waiting for the outcome of a battle, everything was so pleasant. Suddenly, Su Baihu's breath halted, his movement to lift the curtain froze, disbelievingly watching the body that had been hurled from the alley, arcing through the air, crashing into the cobblestone ground, and kicking up a cloud of snowy dust. Who? Su Heli asked. Su Baihu turned his head stiffly, let the curtain fall, and sweat droplets rolled down his forehead. Zhao Suanhai. Dead, his body thrown out, fallen on the long street, already causing passers-by to stop, creating an uproar. Su Baihu's voice was hoarse and extremely bitter. Zhao Suanhai had received his news, and then went to the alley with the intention to capture Li Che, the newly emerging woodcarving master. In the end, the woodcarving master was not captured. He lost his own life. A divine catcher was dead. This matter was huge. Su Heli's face slightly changed, he abruptly put down his book, drew his sword from his waist, and in an instant, he dashed out of the carriage. Divinity spread around his body, stepping through the snow without a trace, taking a few steps that spanned 30 paces as if flying, surpassing Zhao Suanhai's body, whose head was decapitated and whose chest was pierced. He landed at the entrance of the alley, with the wind and snow swirling around him. Su Heli's fingers clutched the hilt of his sword, staring intently into the depths of the alley. Deep within the alley, a tall figure, dressed in black, donning a bamboo hat, covered with a cute bull mask, calmly watching him as if he knew he was being watched from afar. Therefore, he quietly waited for him. Bull demon! Bull demon, who exactly are you? Su Heli's composure and tranquility were gone, his pupils constricted sharply as he took a step forward. However, as the bull demon took a step forward, countless snowflakes erupted in an instant, forming a snowfall that obscured visibility. By the time the snowfall ceased, the bull demon had vanished into thin air. Even Su Heli's divinity could not sense the bull demon's disappearance. Gone again. Su Heli's hand clenched the sword hilt, his eyes focused, his body leaned forward, and the air tore around him. He madly rushed toward the independent workshop courtyard where Li Che was located. Was it him? Could it be him? Chapter 66, Can the Su family's ancestor cultivate two divinities? The raging air current shattered the leisurely falling snowflakes in the sky. Su Heli's feet lightly tapped the ground at breakneck speed, kicking up trails of snow dust. His entire figure shot towards the deep courtyard in the alley with the swiftness of an arrow released from a bowstring. When he arrived at the entrance of the courtyard, his knees forcefully pushed off the ground, and a surge of powerful blood chi burst forth from his body. With a spring, he leapt atop the high wall and stood there like a sharp spear. The wind howled, wailing like the cries of ghosts. Su Heli's blood chi circulated within his body, reaching every limb and bone, his eyes clear as he looked into the courtyard. Chill plums emitted a faint fragrance, covered in accumulated snow. But in the center of the courtyard, Li Che, wearing a leather bib, was sitting on a chair, gripping a carving knife, sculpting a wood carving. Shavings fluttered down from the sharp silver-white blade, piling up on the ground. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The sound was scratchy, but had a rhythmic pattern, as the divinity of heaven and earth was indistinctly captured and merged into the wood carving. The carving marks on the wood, though rough, began to come to life. Su Heli's eyebrows furrowed as his grip on the sword hilt slowly relaxed. It's not him. Li Che was still carving the divine wood carving, with divinity from heaven and earth gathering and being pulled. That required a period of maturation, needed to settle one's state of mind. It wasn't possible to kill someone one moment and seamlessly enter into the state of carving a divine wood carving the next. That would lead to deviating into madness. However, observing Li Che at this moment, it was obvious he had been adjusting his state for quite some time, immersed in the carving and pulling the free divinity between heaven and earth. Even wood-carving masters at the 9 luminaries level would find it hard to switch states in such a short period of time. Li Che slowly stopped his movements, turned his head with a frown, and looked somewhat displeased at Su Heli, who was standing on the wall, as if he was bothered by the disturbance. "Shopkeeper, barging into my private workshop like this isn't very appropriate, is it?" Li Che said indifferently. Upon hearing this, Su Heli floated down, his eyes still carrying a scrutinizing intent. "But, it's too coincidental." Zhao Suanhai was just about to abduct Li Che when he was targeted by the bull demon in the very alley Li Che was in, brutally killed on the spot. Was the bull demon really unrelated to Li Che? Or could it be? The bull demon was lurking within Li Che's workshop. "I apologize for the intrusion, Master Li, but there has been a murder in the alley." The criminal bull demon appeared and committed the act, killing the divine catcher Zhao Suanhai. Master Li, after all, is a martial artist with bone-tempering completion. Did you really not sense the blood qi and divine battle that broke out in the alley? Su Heli's expression darkened a bit. Li Che looked at Su Heli as if staring at a fool and laughed. "So what if I sensed it? Should I have opened the door to enjoy the spectacle, only to be killed and silenced by that ferocious bull demon?" Su Heli was momentarily taken aback. Indeed, with the ferocity of the bull demon, if Li Che had actually dared to open the door and peek at its killing, that bull demon who loved twisting heads would likely have twisted off Li Che's head without hesitation. Li Che, merely bone-tempered, how could he resist the bull demon capable of killing someone at the cultivation as river-like level? "If the shopkeeper has something to say, just speak frankly." Li Che picked up the wood carving and examined it carefully, speaking indifferently. Su Heli locked eyes with Li Che's nonchalant demeanor and said with a sharp gaze, "I've offended you." The words had barely fallen. Su Heli's figure erupted with blood qi and divinity, flashing and disappearing on the spot. Moments later, after searching the whole house, he returned to the courtyard. Read the latest on MVLEMP year. Is the shopkeeper suspecting that the bull demon is hiding in my yard? The bull demon is vicious, and it'd be terrible if it were hiding and Master Li was unaware, only to later endanger Master Li's life, Su Heli said with a smile. Li Che narrowed his eyes, looking indifferently at Su Heli. Without his consent, his private residence was searched. Su Heli had clearly disregarded him, adopting a condescending attitude that only confirmed to Li Che that the Su family had truly sold him, the wood-carving master, to the city lord's mansion. Zhao Suanhai's appearance here was no coincidence either. Feeling the strong presence of the Suansi Lu sword's divinity emanating from Su Heli, Li Che licked his lips slightly, feeling the urge to do away with Su Heli and then drain him dry. He shook his sleeve, the poisoned sleeve crossbow ready to be released. "After all, if you are unkind, do not blame me for being unrighteous. The Su family indeed provided him with shelter when he was weak, but now that you've sold me, our emotional bond has surely run dry." Li Che, too, did not understand why the Su family would push a wood-carving master out. By reason, it shouldn't be so. Even if they knew he would leave Feilei City and did not wish to invest resources due to that, they shouldn't offend him to death, should they? It doesn't fall in line with the usual practices of the noble families and clans. Just as Li Che hesitated over whether to make a move, his eyes suddenly contracted slightly. He felt the Dao fruit of a pure heart within his chest pounding violently, a strong warning that made him abandon the thought of taking action. He then saw that, on top of the courtyard wall, a palm-sized lifelike wood carving had appeared at some unknown time. The wood carving stood on the black tiles, as if it had become a living person, coldly observing the scene within the courtyard. Su Heli caught a glimpse of the wood carving and was slightly taken aback before bowing with a fist held in the other hand. "Elder Ancestor," he said. "The Su family's forebear. A divine base cultivator." Li Che was extremely surprised. "Heli, come back. The bull demon isn't hidden within Master Li's courtyard. Apologize to Master Li, after all, a master is a master, and our Su family should show the full respect that is due," said a faint voice from the wood carving. "Yes," Su Heli responded respectfully. The wood carving glanced at Li Che, and although its eyes were carved, they were lifelike, as if a real person was casting a gaze. This skill, exceedingly masterful. Such a wood carving was undoubtedly the work of a master. But what was even more terrifying was the vivacity endowed to the wood carving by divinity. And it was precisely the perception of the wood carving's appearance that made Li Che dispel the idea of striking Su Heli. Watching Su Heli leave without uttering another word, along with the divine base wood carving, Li Che's eyes flickered. Using a divine wood carving as the vessel, the strong divinity of a divine base cultivator infused within, as if manipulating a doppelganger. He mused. This must be some type of divine secret technique. A divine base cultivator indeed. Just a wood carving bearing divinity puts such great pressure on me. Li Che exhaled deeply, his heart stirred, viewing divine base cultivators with increasing regard. According to the 9 luminaries' furious weeping ghost nourishing nature record he obtained from Si Mubai, divine cultivators could perhaps fight beyond their small realms, but the gap between ranks was vast as a chasm. Even if one cultivates a 4 imperials level divinity method, as long as they remain in the phase of nurturing nature and face a divine base cultivator who cultivates a 10 capitals divinity method, they would be suppressed. This is what's known as rank suppression. And a divinity method capable of breaking this rank suppression, would be top-notch in the world. Li Che took a deep breath and ran his fingers over the carvings on the wood, pursing his lips slightly. That divine base wood carving, must contain extremely tremendous divinity, which is quite tempting, he said. In the independent workshop courtyard, snow fluttered down. Li Che once again immersed himself in his carving. After half an incense stick's time had passed, ensuring that Su Heli and the divine base wood carving would not return. Li Che then got up, stretched lazily, his bones cracking in response, and stimulated the Dao fruit of Chess Saint with his divinity. With the chessboard covering the surroundings of the courtyard and ascertaining that there was no spying, he proceeded to take out Zhao Suanhai's Qunkan jade from his Qunkan space, ready to tally his gains from killing Zhao Suanhai. Apart from the Qunkan jade, Zhao Suanhai's heavy iron sword weighing 800 caddies had also been collected by Li Che. With divinity infused, the Qunkan jade pendant was promptly breached. The treasures inside were exposed to Li Che's perception. After thoroughly tallying the silver notes, silver ingots, gold leaves, gold ingots, and other riches that would make one wealthy, Li Che raised his hand, and after several seconds of attraction, 2 golden hide booklets fell into Li Che's hands. One was a divinity method, the other, a divine secret technique. He looked at the first booklet. Great Scenery Town Temple Rage Michuo Nurturing Nature Method, he read the title. Li Che clutched the booklet, his eyes blazing. According to common knowledge of divine cultivation, the 7 emotions divinity method involves refining divinity with emotions, choosing one emotion to nurture divinity. More than that can lead to emotional instability, resulting in a fragmented spirit. Feeling the Dao fruit of pure heart pounding in his chest, Li Che's breath became hot. Can I cultivate 2 divinity methods at the same time? He wondered. Chapter 67, Dao fruit work together, Namo Bharat. Upon the long street, Zhao Suanhai's corpse was blocked off, inaccessible to the bystanders. The government office had already sent people, the constables in black overcoats covered the body with a white cloth and dispersed the onlookers. In the distance, in a quiet corner, a steed neighed and snorted hot breath. Inside the carriage compartment, Su Heli and Su Baihu sat respectfully, facing them was the divine basewood carving of their ancestor. The palm-sized divine basewood carving filled the 2 Su brothers with immense piety and respect. Elder grandfather, that Li Che, is he really no problem? Su Heli frowned slightly with some uncertainty as he asked. He still felt that there was something odd about Li Che, a feeling that belonged to his intuition. The old one has checked, there's no problem. Bull demon is not him. This young man's vitality matches that of bone tempering completion, and the strength of his physical body also corresponds with bone tempering completion. Under my divine perception, he should not be able to conceal his cultivation. As for his divinity, it is extremely weak, negligible, consistent with the strength involved when one has just advanced to wood carving master. Therefore, it is impossible for him to be the bull demon. Even if a divine base cultivator did not come in person, it would be impossible for them to make a mistake in their observation. A divine base cultivator, with a condensed spirit, possesses perceptive abilities far superior to that of a cultivation practitioner. Upon hearing this, Su Heli finally dispelled the doubts in his heart. Zhao Suanhai is dead, and he died as an incense master of the Spirit Infant sect. The situation is somewhat problematic. It was you who informed Zhao Suanhai about Li Che becoming a wood carving master, and as a result, Zhao Suanhai died on the way, leaving the Su family in a predicament that can't be easily cleansed. Li Che might also harbor some suspicions, but it's not a big problem. The real problem comes from City Lord Cao Guang. If he truly starts suspecting, it would be greatly detrimental to the Su family. I will make a trip to the City Lord's mansion. You two should stay put in the Su family compound and do not wander around, especially you, Heli. If the bull demon could kill Zhao Suanhai, he would also be capable of killing you. Upon hearing this, Su Heli felt goosebumps rise and his hairs stand on end. Su Baihu beside him also shivered slightly. The divine basswood carving glanced at Su Baihu. You don't need to tremble, the bull demon likely disdains to kill you. If he wants you dead, shaking won't help, just die cleanly, that's all. Su Baihu's mouth twitched, but he had no words in return. Furthermore, the city lord is set to host the 1000 Buddha carving banquet, which is now inevitable. I, along with other divine base cultivators from several families, have chosen to cooperate with the city lord. Once the banquet is successful, all of us with divine base will greatly benefit. This is a significant event, you both should take it seriously, particularly you, Heli. Prepare well and strive to gain benefits when the banquet succeeds. See if you can seize the opportunity to forge a divine base in one go. The wood carving spoke in a heavy tone. Su Heli's breath hitched slightly, and a glint of joy flashed in his eyes. Divine base, ah! If he could truly seize this chance, it would be a great thing for him. How many cultivation practitioners, with cultivation as river-like, are stuck at the step of forging the divine base? Although forging a divine base with the assistance of the 1000 Buddha carving banquet may be seen as taking an unusual path, with a possibly unstable divine base, being able to become a divine base cultivator, is sufficient. Once a divine base is established, adding 200 years to one's life, what more could he ask for? Can I cultivate 2 types of divinity? Li Chai's eyes blazed, his heart pounding with excitement. Not by deriving the divinity of others through the 1000 analyzing hands, but genuinely cultivating 2 types of divine methods, with the intention of eventually condensing 2 divine bases. Others may not be able to, as they could become mentally confused due to the clash between 2 types of divinity, but I am different. I have Dao fruit, pure heart, pure divinity, without blemish. I indeed have the opportunity to try 2 types of divine methods, would enable the forging of 2 divine bases in the future. The enhancement to combat power would undoubtedly be immense. After contemplating the feasibility for a moment, Li Chai did not give it any more thought and began to peruse the Golden Hide booklet. Great Scenery Town Temple Rage Michuo Temperament Method. Great Scenery Town Temple. Li Chai took a deep breath. This was officially sanctioned. Without a doubt, this method of nurturing nature originated from the Dejing dynasty. And in terms of its rank, it was even higher than the 9 luminaries' angry cry-suppressing ghosts he had previously acquired from Si Mubai. That is to say, the wrathful Maitreya is a method of nurturing nature of 8 extremes level. He opened it and read carefully, scrutinizing every detail. Li Chai, having had the experience of cultivating angry cry-suppressing ghosts, comprehended much more than before. Wrathful Maitreya, it requires blood and chi cultivation, Li Chai pondered carefully, mobilizing one's own chi and blood to surge through the spirit and invigorate a furious uprising. Once he had memorized the content completely, he stood up and clenched his fingers. The Kunkan space within the pure heart expelled an iron saber weighing 800 jin. Grasping the long saber, the feeling of heaviness surged through his hand. Li Chai breathed steadily, slowly moving the chi and blood within his body. He knew no saber techniques, but that did not hinder him from using the offensive style of the White Tiger Chaotic Wind Fist to wield the saber, as his internal chi and blood roared in tandem. Sounds of slicing the air moaned and howled, like rolls of thunder. Read today on. As if a furious dragon swam through his meridians, his body's sinews snapped and vibrated, the bones of the tiger roared with anger. Li Chai's body quickly reddened, heat steaming up as the falling snow from the heavens was vaporized and dissolved by his aura, nurturing the essence cultivation of wrathful Maitreya. Free divinity in the world gradually gathered. Like a red spark, pervading and approaching. All of a sudden, a thought jarred Li Chai's heart, as the Dao fruit of chess saint burst forth, condensing a black chess piece within his palm. This chess piece was formed by the condensed divinity of wrathful Maitreya. Li Chai seemed pensive, and with a sudden clench of his fingers, it was as if a wrathful Maitreya angrily roared. Strands of white misty sweat rapidly drifted out from beneath Li Chai's skin. The furious divinity contained in this chess piece, unexpectedly merged into Li Chai's body. Li Chai's brow energy center suddenly radiated light, his eyes blood red. For divine cultivation, one must open the inner scene of the energy center, storing divinity within. But every person only has one inner scene, which means that Li Che needed to store two types of divinity in one inner scene. This was a source of chaos. Li Che's expression was stern as he meticulously sensed the state of his inner scene, ready to abandon the cultivation of the second divinity if anything was amiss. Thump thump thump. Suddenly, the world turned utterly silent, and Li Che seemed to hear the sound of his own heartbeat. Unmistakable, like thunder right beside his ear. Then, the divinity of pure heart Dao fruit surged out, seeping into his inner scene of the energy center. The divinities of angry cry and wrath that were almost boiling and colliding fiercely within, under the influx of pure heart's divinity, began to calm down. It acted as a kind of neutralizer and lubricant. Under the soothing power of the pure heart, the two types of divinity stabilized without issues. In the courtyard, the cold sensation of snowflakes striking his face made Li Che open his eyes. A look of joy momentarily flickered through them. Wrathful Maitreya, accomplished. An unexpected delight. Li Che himself had not anticipated that he could directly refine the divinity of wrathful Maitreya with a chess piece. If he refined 18 chess pieces, couldn't the divinity of wrathful Maitreya reach the state of cultivation as river-like? If I slaughtered a divine base cultivator who had cultivated the divinity of wrathful Maitreya, wouldn't that ensure a smooth journey to forging a divine base? The thought made Li Che's heart beat excitedly. The combination and matchup between Dao fruits seemed to be more effective than he had imagined. In the inner scenery, slowly refining the divinity of wrathful Maitreya would take some time. Li Che stopped his divine cultivation and browsed the second golden hide booklet. This booklet was a divine secret technique, Maitreya Gold Armor, a defensive divine secret technique. Once mastered, one's defense would greatly increase, forming a Maitreya Gold Armor around oneself. Impervious to blades and spears, unaffected by water and fire. Li Che's gaze sharpened as he took a deep breath. The defensive divine secret technique made him think of his Namo Gatling wooden crow. Once Maitreya Gold Armor was completed, with its automatic defense, his firepower seemed to become less threatening. A glimpse of the leopard in the tube reveals there will be other defensive divine secret techniques. No wonder I couldn't kill Zhao Suanhai and others that night. Even if I inject divinity into the wood raven, increasing its explosive power, facing a defensive divine secret technique, simply adding more Namo Gatling wood raven seems inadequate. If facing a divine base cultivator's Maitreya Gold Armor, I might not even be able to break through the defense. Li Che's brow furrowed, a vague sense of anxiety rising in his heart. Perhaps, I need to attempt to forge something by applying the blessing of the immortal artisan Dao fruit. Namo Bharat Wood Raven. Chapter 68, Bull Demon's infamy spreads far and wide, minor circulation meridian method. Daddy, XIXI doesn't want to go to school, XIXI wants to play with the twist car. Mommy, save me, Daddy is going to take XIXI away. Early in the morning. After sending XIXI, who cried because she was reluctant to leave her twist car, and the silent Lu Chi to the Divine Cultivation Institute, Li Che went to his private workshop courtyard. The furnace boiled water, sending steam and warmth throughout the room. Li Che was holding a piece of white paper and applying his drawings and writings to it. Although he had the immortal artisan Dao fruit and had advanced it to level 3, creating Namo Bharat was not an easy task. Wood Raven was mainly skilled in explosions, which naturally wasn't difficult. However, penetration power was the key to Namo Bharat. Of course, the theory was naturally different from Bharat in his previous life. Many things had to be changed, and Li Che believed that divinity was the key, so he had to explore and plan this as his next organ research project. Fortunately, the immortal artisan Dao fruit greatly helped his craftsmanship, offering him the possibility to realize this idea. Water stays still on cold clouds, while pieces of snow are blown onto brocade robes. In the days that followed, the snowstorm intensified. Perhaps because of Zhao Suanhai's death, the notorious name of Bull Demon once again resonated through Feilei City, causing the streets to become much quieter. The Bull Demon had gone mad, to actually strike at the divine catcher. Rumors swept through the city in an instant. The name of Bull Demon, known for his extreme brutality, spread into the ears of many. Those who once saw the Bull Demon as a heroic figure became speechless when chatting about him in taverns and tea houses. The Bull Demon had killed a government officer, and that too a divine catcher. Could he still bear the name of a hero? But because of the Bull Demon's ferocity, many in the inner city went about their affairs more cautiously. Rumor had it that the divine catcher, Zhao Suanhai, was killed by the feral bull demon just for spitting on the roadside one too many times. This made many children of rich and noble families more restrained when going out, even afraid to spit carelessly. Li Che was unaware that with the help of some intentional forces, the bull demon's reputation had quickly turned rotten. Initially heralded as a hero, the bull demon's name was now only slightly better than that of a flower-picking thief. However, even if he knew, he wouldn't care, as he never thought of the bull demon as a good person or a hero. Being a good person, a hero, is too exhausting. Bull demon was just a hidden identity used by Li Che to protect XIXI by eliminating some threats. Born in such chaotic times, Li Che only wanted his family to live well. So, anyone seeking to harm his wife or daughter would face the wrath of bull demon. It wasn't about right or wrong, it was about life and death. Click-clack. Rolling thunder rumbled through the dark clouds, as rain mixed with snow fell from the sky. Li Che sat in the courtyard, caught by the sudden storm during his cultivation. He didn't react in time and chose to ignore it. With a thought, a screen of light slowly unfolded before his eyes. Name, Li Che. Bonds, Li Nuangzai, daughter. Dao fruits, Immortal Artisan, LV3, 20%, Dragon Elephant Vajra, LV2, 55%, Pure Heart, LV1, 50%, Chess Saint, LV1, 10%. Prototype of Divine Powers, Immortal Worker, 1000 Analyzing Hands. His eyes reflected the brilliance, and a faint smile curved at the corners of his mouth as he saw the overall maturity of the Dao fruits increase. These days, immersed in the research of Namo Bharat and with the completion of the organ Bodhi blood tears, Immortal Artisan had improved significantly. This blood-flesh-red spiritual wood is not easy to find. Fortunately, I was able to successfully create Bodhi blood tears in one go. He felt a certain expectation in his heart, wondering just how powerful this Bodhi blood tears, ranked even higher than the wood raven as an organ hidden weapon, could be. Since only one had been made, Li Che hadn't tested it yet. Besides the improvement in Immortal Artisan, due to the practice of the second divine method, the maturity of Pure Heart had suddenly accelerated to 50%, which was a surprise to Li Che. Of course, what surprised Li Che even more was that Dragon Elephant Vajra had broken through the bottleneck of 50%, making his martial cultivation increasingly solid. Even the middle vehicle method initially cultivated during the early stages of skin refinement and sinew transforming had been made up for its deficiencies, reaching the heights of superior, making his physical body approach perfection. The blood exchange 9 shifts was fully accomplished, with the qi born from the blood flowing through the bones and muscles of the whole body. Channel opening was about turning the qi produced by the qi and blood into a cycle that runs through the internal organs, creating a minor circulation qi channel that permeates the universe, and achieving an unending cycle of qi within one's body. Swoosh! A faint sound echoed, and Li Che abruptly opened his eyes. He saw a hunched old man drifting into the courtyard as fluidly as a swan treading through snow mud, somewhat artistically. The visitor was none other than Li Qingshan, a cultivator of the Qian Yuan divine sect. Li Che could not fathom the depth of Li Qingshan's cultivation. But it was certainly no weaker than divine base level after all. The divine base elder from the Si family was incapacitated by this very person. Not bad, blood exchange 9 shifts, rich and vigorous blood qi, flowing like mercury, a very solid foundation. It seems you've fully nourished your blood qi. I thought you'd need another month or so. To reach such a level after only 3 years of martial cultivation, truly a martial prodigy. Li Qingshan drifted under the eaves, took a sip of hot tea, contentedly exhaled a breath of warmth, and stroked his beard. You're quite shrewd, knowing to establish a solid foundation before attempting the channel opening. Although divine items are the pursuit of any divine cultivator, any strong divine cultivator is sure to pay attention to both divinity and blood qi. Only with horizontally refined and resilient flesh can one endure the vast divine power, allowing one to trek further on the path of divinity. If the divine cultivation is equal, and your martial power is stronger, naturally you'll be more advantageous in combat and confrontation. Some divine cultivators even favor the martial path more, like that vassal king of the Grand Prospect dynasty, Jimoli, a peerless martial saint. By using the martial path to mold a divine fetus and form a flesh and blood divine fetus, his combat power is terrifying, invincible among his peers. Of course, the divinity realm is still the most important. Li Che was taken aback, not expecting this sort of reasoning. Li Qingshan continued to sip his tea, nibbling on a tea leaf, chewing thoughtfully. Divine base cultivators, their qi and blood martial path almost always includes the mysterious vein. Attempting to break through to divine base without the mysterious vein, 9 out of 10 will fail, injuring their divinity, condemned to a life of cultivation practicing. There's practically no one in the whole of Fei City who cultivates their nature and can steadily cast divine base. Su Heli and Ruosu and other sons of Fei City, their qi and blood martial path is merely at the beginning stages of the qi channels, making divine base extremely improbable. Because their talents in qi and blood martial path are insufficient, cultivating their nature and martial skills to the current level is already the best effort they can make. Li Chei's expression became serious upon hearing these words. He remembered guiding Xixi in her martial arts training, the girl's intermittent efforts like the old saying 3 days fishing, 2 days drying nets. He automatically felt the parental anxiety for his child's future. What about Xixi? Li Qingshan chuckled lightly, don't worry, Xixi entered the divine sect, which is not the same as these juniors from small city clans. The sect has special blood qi elixirs, which, when taken, can rapidly improve one's blood qi. Those elixirs are the sect's closely guarded secrets, acquired after the ransacking of the mysterious temple, and are the foundation of the sect. Every major sect has their foundational elixirs. Actually, the Grand Prospect dynasty has them too. If she had entered the Dying Temple Bureau, she would naturally have access to them. Small families in Fei City simply can't obtain them. Li Qingshan revealed many secrets. Li Chei opened his mouth as if to speak but then hesitated. Li Qingshan simply waved his hand, you are not yet part of the divine sect, I can't give you such elixirs. However, I can impart to you the channel opening method. Although you have your own opportunities and obtained a martial secret technique, which can burst forth your blood qi and greatly enhance your qi and blood cultivation, such an increase in strength is like rootless duckweed and shouldn't be used for casting divine base. And if used excessively, it might harm your foundation. In the future, if you can avoid using it, then do so. Li Chei remained silent, obviously not going to mention that activating Dragon Elephant Vajra caused him no harm. He pursed his lips, changing the subject. Senior, even though I'm not part of the divine sect, can you really impart the method so readily? That's no big deal. Channel opening method is quite common, all outer disciples can learn it, so imparting it to you isn't a major issue. The subsequent mysterious vein method and divine meridian method, those are more precious, only obtainable after entering the inner sect. The old man chuckled, and the next moment, with a flick of his finger, a sheet of paper flew like a knife, slicing through the snow towards Li Chei. Li Chei caught the sheet with finesse, feeling his blood qi surge uncontrollably, instantly amazed by the old man's strength. Only on. Despite his frail appearance, terrifying power akin to that of dragons and tigers must be contained within. Li Chei's gaze fell upon the paper. Qian Yuan Divine Sect's Minor Circulation Meridian Opening Technique. Minor circulation. Li Chei murmured to himself. However, Li Qingshan did not satisfy his curiosity but instead furrowed his brows. Someone is coming, likely from the city lord's mansion. Hey, it seems to be a divine base cultivator. I must leave first. Young Li Chei, whether it's the martial path or divinity, the strength of one's own cultivation is fundamental. I plan to take you to view the temple god in the mysterious temple today. Since I have passed on the minor circulation method to you, if you have opened your qi channels in 3 days, then come to the outskirts of the city. If the channel opening is not successful, there's no need for you to come. After his words were spoken, Li Qingshan vanished in an instant, leaving only the quietly placed teacup with ripples forming on its surface. At the same time, in a lane shaking under the drifting rain and snow, footsteps could be heard. And they were getting increasingly rapid. Chapter 69, Energy forms the channel opening, Mask Alliance. Hurried footsteps came to an abrupt halt outside the courtyard. As rain mixed with light snow fell from the sky, Li Chei tucked the page of the meridian opening method into his Qiankan space and then turned his head toward the courtyard door. A gentle knock echoed, and Li Chei stood up to open the door. He saw a towering figure wearing a conical bamboo hat standing outside, his robust vitality like a blazing fire, radiating intense heat even from a distance. His jet black hair fluttered, his muscles were coiled like those of a python, and his bones seemed to roar with rage. Just standing there, he was like a silent Buddha in fury, roaring with might. The towering figure knocked politely, which improved Li Chei's attitude somewhat. Who might you be? Master Li, I come from the city lord's mansion, my name is Cao Qing Yuan, the burly man said with gleaming eyes, quickly glancing inside the courtyard. Not seeing anyone else, his bushy eyebrows raised slightly. Cao Qing Yuan. Li Che was taken aback. He immediately clasped his hands in a salute. I am Li Che, a humble woodcarver, and I greet the young city lord. Master Li is too kind. Now that you have become a woodcarving master, you are a distinguished guest of the city lord's mansion. My father specifically sent me to request Master Li's expertise in a certain task, Cao Qing Yuan replied with a smile, his demeanor quite humble. However, the pressure this divine base cultivator, Cao Qing Yuan, exerted on Li Che was immense, as if facing a wrathful Maitreya Buddha, with every hair on his body standing on end. This was because the overflowing divinity of Cao Qing Yuan's wrathful Maitreya divine foundation continually agitated Li Che. Young city lord of flying thunder, Cao Qing Yuan. Divine base cultivator. It was no secret that Cao Guang, the lord of Feilei City, had a son who had stepped into the realms of the divine foundation. In earlier years, there was even talk of the 4 young masters of flying thunder, one of whom was Cao Guang's son, Cao Qing Yuan. But once Cao Qing Yuan forged his divine foundation, the title of one of the 4 young masters no longer suited him. Young city lord, I apologize, but I am at a critical moment in my bone tempering and am about to challenge the blood exchange barrier. Therefore, I may be unable to undertake the task set by the lord of the city, Li Che said, declining Cao Qing Yuan's request tactfully. Yet Cao Qing Yuan did not mind and said with a smile, no matter, Master Li may focus on the blood exchange for now. As long as you complete the wood carving within a month, that will suffice. The blueprint for the carving is here, as well as a down payment. Here are 100 gold leaf pieces for now, and the remaining 400 will be delivered upon the completion of your work, Cao Qing Yuan explained, presenting items to Li Che. When a divine base cultivator makes a house call with what can be considered a mild approach and without enforcing a stringent timeline, Li Che understood that this was a gentle method to block any of his possible refusals. To refuse again would seem quite ungrateful. After pondering for a moment, Li Che no longer declined and accepted the blueprint along with the 100 gold leaf pieces. Seeing this, Cao Qing Yuan's face blossomed with a smile. He pressed down on his bamboo hat and took a deep look at the independent workshop before turning to leave. Li Che narrowed his eyes as he looked at the wood-carving blueprint in his hands. 18 maidens holding lotuses to worship the wrathful Maha. Cao Qing Yuan returned to the city lord's mansion. Removing his bamboo hat, Cao Qing Yuan slowly stepped inside the house. Despite it being daytime, the whole house was very dim. Candles, white as bone, were lit and lined up in rows like a staircase. Next to each candle rested a small wood carving made of rosewood, thumb-sized. Reflected in the candlelight, each wood carving seemed as if it was bleeding. The flickering flames jumped between yellow and green hues. Cao Qing Yuan's heart tightened, and even as a divine base cultivator, he felt the sensation of not daring to breathe too deeply. That Li Che, did he accept the order? A spectral and hoarse voice came from the depths of the mansion. Cao Qing Yuan respectfully affirmed, Father, he accepted. Good, if he accepted. The Su family already sold him to our city lord's mansion. Since he accepted the order, it saves you the trouble of having to abduct him. As long as he completes the carving, that will be sufficient. Father, what if he accepted the order but doesn't carve? There was a moment of silence in the room. After a short pause, the voice returned, he wouldn't dare. Furthermore, for the 1000th Buddha carving banquet, we still need 3 spirit children. The Yin family has 1, the Yang family has lost theirs, but, there are still 2 in the Su family's Divine Cultivation Institute. The Su family has 2. One is indeed the daughter of that Li Che, and the other one is a big-headed spirit child. Ha ha ha, buy one get one free. Has the Su family agreed? The spirit children in the city have already been chosen by the divine sect. The Su and Yin families can't keep them, better to use them as bargaining chips. The Su, Yin and Yang families all want to reap the benefits and then withdraw from Feilei City. Thus, they have no choice but to agree. A bunch of fools, existing alongside the temple god, what an honor that is. The hoarse voice echoed eerily, laced with a scornful chuckle. Cao Qing Yuan immediately fell silent. Zhao Xuanhai is dead, who did the killing? Zhongxiang Yang or Zhou Ruiguan? After a long while, Cao Qing Yuan furrowed his brow and asked. The stillness within the room was broken. The hoarse voice resonated. The Yang family. Li Qingshan had given Li Che 3 days to attempt the channel opening. In reality, that was actually too much. Within his independent workshop, Li Che first laid out a mental chessboard with the Dao fruit of the chess saint, sensing his surroundings to make sure everything was safe, before he began the channel opening. The Qianyuan Divine Sect minor circulation meridian method given to him by Li Qingshan was not complex, no wonder he was generous with it. It was all theoretical content. The specifics of the operation were up to the martial artist himself. With the Dao fruit of the dragon elephant Vajra, Li Che's foundation was incredibly solid. Though channel opening was difficult, for Li Che, it felt like everything was falling into place smoothly. The falling snowflakes twisted and scattered as if repelled by an invisible force above Li Che's head. Li Che sat cross-legged in the courtyard, invisible currents spiraling around him, continuously rotating in a helix pattern. The qi generated from his blood and inner strength fused, cycling through his organs, his extraordinary and regular meridians, forming the fixed minor circulation of qi channels of the Qianyuan Divine Sect, unblocking the universe within. The force from the fourth layer of internal strength, combined with the qi produced by channel opening, became inner qi. Inner qi enveloped his heart, and with its throbbing contractions and expansions, streams of inner qi flowed along the small minor circulation meridians beneath the skin, enmeshing every organ. Li Che opened his eyes, which seemed to flash with a bright brilliance. Standing up, his tendons and bones harmoniously resonated, his circulation of blood and qi became swifter and more powerful, and the resultant strength was even more formidable. Whoosh! Inhale. Between each exhale and inhale, the wind and snow of the world seemed to swirl in response, as if his qi was merging with heaven and earth. Qi channels, accomplished. The 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Having broken through his qi channels, Li Che used the remaining time to also master the divine secret technique of Maitreya gold armor, reaching the level of minor accomplishment. The divine chess piece left by Zhao Suanhai had been largely refined by Li Che. Now, within the inner scene of the energy center, the divinity of the wrathful Maitreya flowed gently like a stream, nurturing his nature. Read the full story at. He glanced at the sky. Today was a rare sunny day without snow. The air was still bitterly cold, but there was a hint of warm and comfortable sunshine. Li Che put on an elastic shirt, donned a bamboo hat, and, sitting beneath the eaves, he began carving a cute bull mask at a leisurely pace with a carving knife. After putting on the mask, he checked the poison-tempered sleeve crossbow, Guanyin poison lotus, Bodhi blood tears, and other hidden weapons mechanisms, and surveyed the 6,000 wood ravens stored in the Qunkan arsenal. Only then did Li Che leave the independent workshop, feeling at ease. If it were in the past, Li Che would never have left the city, not willing to be so far away from Xixi. But with the title of Flying Thunder Chess Saint, as long as the divine chess piece was placed on Xixi, he could travel with a tranquil mind. At least if something happened to Xixi, he would sense it and rush to her side extremely quickly. Only when his daughter's safety was ensured could the father afford to wander off and stir up trouble with peace of mind. The slumbering dragon elephant's breath concealment ability was becoming increasingly powerful. It almost completely erased the sense of his existence. He easily left the inner city and then the outer city with its weaker defenses. Just as he left the outer city, a hunched and short figure appeared silently and without a trace. Li Che glanced at the newcomer, only to see that the person was also dressed in black, wearing a cat-faced mask. Master Qingshan. Li Che's voice came muffled from under the cute bull mask. It's me. The reply came from beneath the cat-faced mask. Li Che. You're wearing a mask too now? Everyone's wearing masks. Is this some kind of mask alliance? Chapter 70, Three-Eyed True Lord Mysterious Temple, they all died. The wind outside the city seemed much colder, brushing against the body, taking away warmth, piercing into the spine. Li Che, wearing the cute cow mask, silently watched Li Qingshan, who wore a cat-faced mask. Masked person looked at masked person, and the atmosphere seemed somewhat harmonious. What are you looking at? I learned from you, kid. I once was a man of integrity myself. Li Qingshan spoke lightly with his hands behind his back. Wearing the mask, he seemed to become much more indifferent, with his emotions somewhat wayward. The mask separated the face, giving one the feeling of releasing the emotions hidden within. Just like Li Che, every time he put on the cute cow mask, his body and mind would feel incredibly relaxed, and whatever he did, whoever he killed, all became unrestrained, with no limits. So you've opened your qi channels? 3 days, not too bad. Since that's the case, to enter the mysterious temple for a look, you now seem to have some assurance. Go quickly and return quickly. Before it gets dark, you must exit the temple. Li Qingshan said with a deep voice. The next moment, his toes touched the ground, and a surge of force burst forth, turning the old man's body into a straight black line that shot out on the snow-covered official road. Li Chai's body wobbled slightly, and the inner chi that had surged through his body after breaking through the channel opening surged into his legs, quickly catching up. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The roaring wind howled as it sped past, with the currents running noisily alongside both sides of the mask. The scenery outside the city passed by in a flash before his eyes. The old man's speed was extremely fast, and Li Chai had some difficulty keeping up. After all, he hadn't used the unmatched horizontal refinement of the dragon elephant Vajra and was silently following. In reality, Li Qingshan, who was bounding ahead, was already incredibly surprised in his heart. A very stable foundation, qi infused into the qi channels, inner qi vast and long, indeed not bad. Li Qingshan inwardly praised. Such a good seedling, with his martial path talent alone, even if Li Chai wasn't a 22-year-old spirit child, Li Qingshan would still be willing to lead him into the divine sect. The two leaped and bounded for about a quarter of an hour. Then, Li Qingshan slowed his pace. His body paused, and he gracefully landed on a snow-covered old pine branch. Beneath the cat-faced mask, 2 eyes gleamed with light. Li Chai followed closely behind, also controlling his inner qi, and in the same manner as Li Qingshan, landed on the old pine. Li Qingshan glanced at Li Chai. Since you have entered the Qian Yuan divine sect, it's highly likely you'll join my group, so, since we've come to the mysterious temple, I'll take you on an early trial. Li Chai didn't say much and nodded. He looked up and saw the corner of a temple's eaves, its crimson paint, concealed by the dense trees, looking like smears of fresh blood. This mysterious temple is of the 10th capital level. It is best to enter the mysterious temple during the daytime. At night, the temple god will become restless, and once you wake the temple god, they're not easy to deal with. I was entangled by the awakened temple god for 2 months, quite annoying. When the temple god awakens, they will release their divinity, which will invade nearby living creatures, causing them to mutate into evil spirits controlled by the divinity. The evil spirits of a 10th capital level mysterious temple won't be at the divine base level, so it's not a big problem, and you should be able to clear them. It's a good opportunity for you to consolidate your qi channels and blood. Upon hearing this, Li Chai said no more, his body swayed, and he rushed towards the forest ahead. He controlled his inner qi, leaving no trace on the snow. It was as if he had cleared the forest that blocked the view, and suddenly, a solitary temple came into his sight. The temple had carved beams and painted rafters, with its eaves and corners raised high. Pieces of black tiles were stained with white snow, somewhat in disrepair, and that crimson paint spread over the walls and corners seemed to emit a pungent odor of blood. Li Chai's gaze fell on the temple's gate, and moving slightly upward, he saw a plaque. It read, 3 Eyes Wrathful True Monarch Spirit Child's Branch Temple. Just by looking at it once, Li Chai felt the fury divinity within the inner scene of the energy center in his mud pill start to stir, as if uncontrollably drifting towards the mysterious temple, about to leave his own body. However, after Li Chai activated the divine method and reclaimed control over his divinity, combined with the pure heart in his chest throbbing, was he finally able to break free from this entanglement. And in the instant he broke free, Li Chai's pupils contracted. Unknowingly, he had already appeared at the entrance of the mysterious temple, he had even lifted a foot as if to step inside. Countless strands of black qi emanated from the temple, winding around his foot, cold and piercing to the bone. From afar, the small old man standing on the pine branch, wearing a cat-faced mask and ready to take action, exclaimed in astonishment. Experiencing the mysterious temple for the first time, and already relying on yourself to break free from the temple god's attraction to divinity, such remarkable composure. Before the temple. After Li Chai broke free from the attraction of the temple god's divinity, the black qi entwined around his legs was flushed away by his blood energy. Immediately, the evil spirits began to emerge from the mysterious temple. They were a group of corpse people shrouded in black qi and a skin membrane interwoven with black webs, their eyeballs rolled back white. They were exceedingly fast and highly defensive, but now Li Chai, who had opened his qi channels and established his inner qi, had an even stronger combat power and, possessing the transformation realm's white tiger chaotic wind fist, easily resolved these evil spirits. After beating these evil spirits into a mess of rotten flesh, the old man Li Qingshan appeared beside him. Not bad, these evil spirits are the elite temple guardians, and the temple guardian cursed corpses of the 10th capital level mysterious temple all have the strength of the blood exchange realm, their bodies stronger than in the blood exchange, and they do not feel pain. They are the bodies of many temple exploring warriors who died and were transformed by the temple god. After a brief introduction by Li Qingshan, he looked up at the sky and told Li Che to keep up. The two stepped into the temple. Inside the temple, it was extremely dark, with not a speck of light visible, but there were rows of red candles on both sides, which, once lit, burned quietly, illuminating the temple. And within this temple, what made Li Che's scalp tingle was, that it was filled with wood carvings. All of them were of children carved in various forms, some holding lotuses, others holding plums, some with hands cupped around an angry Buddha, others surrounding a guanyin with a gentle smile pinching her fingers. The expressions on these children's wood carvings were lifelike, with open-mouthed laughter, fear and sadness, furious screaming, painful choking, and entangled poses of male and female children. All the 7 emotions and 6 desires were represented, with hundreds of wood carvings standing in rows. This. Li Che took a deep breath, and his mind immediately thought of the city lord's mansion's requisitioning of the wood carving masters to carve these figures. To sacrifice to the temple god, Li Qingshan said, expressionless. The old man said that there's not much time left for Fei Lei City, and this is the reason. Someone is sacrificing to the temple god, offering the divinity of the entire city, while others could take advantage of the situation to gain benefits. The dying temple bureau, those in divine sect who break the temples, in reality, sometimes what they suppress or destroy is human nature. Li Che's eyes narrowed, although not quite understanding, but he knew this sacrifice was nothing good. Benefiting only a small part of the population, but sacrificing the majority. Li Che clenched his fists, muscles twitching, inner chi circling in his palm. You want to destroy these wood carvings? I advise you not to. These carvings are all connected to the temple god. If you destroy one, you will awaken the sleeping temple god. It took the old man great effort to lull it to sleep, and if you wake it up again, I can leave, but you might be killed by the temple god, and then turned into a loyal temple guardian cursed corpse. The inner chi that Li Che was about to release instantly receded. The little old man beneath the cat-faced mask glanced at Li Che. Don't act rashly in the mysterious temple. Anything connected to the temple god can't be easily destroyed. Provoking the temple god is very dangerous. Especially this temple god is not ordinary. A branch temple of the three-eyed fierce true lord spirit child, a branch temple. Branch temple. That is to say, this temple god is very likely to be a divinity branch formed from a high-ranking temple god. Li Qingshan, having come from the divine sect and researched mysterious temples, explained to Li Che. Especially the title Three-Eyed True Lord. It is indeed frightening, reminding one of the 4 imperial levels mysterious temple that the sect master of Jianyuan divine sect suppresses, the one in the temple, with the thin divine dog, grasping a 3-point double-edged knife divine weapon, the three-eyed temple god. Li Qingshan said softly, when it comes to temple gods, one must be more cautious. Upon hearing this, Li Che's pupils contracted slightly, his mind roaring, this description, why did it feel so familiar? Enough, let's not talk much about it. You've become a wood-carving master of the 10 cities, haven't you? You have about 2 hours left, take a good look at the temple god. Wood-carving masters seeking promotion need to observe the charm of the temple god statues, which is an occupation filled with great risks. Li Qingshan said. Senior. The temple god will awaken, is it still alive? Li Che asked. Li Qingshan paused for a moment. Underneath the cat-faced mask, his eyes were deep and distant. They are all dead. Only dead gods can awaken, from the mysterious temples. With those words, the tip of his foot touched the ground, and the little old man's figure floated out of the divine temple. In 2 hours, I will come to get you. Remember, do not damage the surrounding sacrificial wood carvings, bear this in mind, bear this in mind. Silence instantly fell within the mysterious temple. After Li Qingshan left, Li Che stood tall like a straight spear, a sense of inexplicable horror assaulting him from all directions. The pure heart pounded suddenly, the immaculate divinity flowing within it, dispelling the horror. Li Che calmed down, fires burning in his eyes behind the cute cow mask. He looked towards the temple god statue laid out on the altar. The three-eyed wrathful true monarch spirit child. The child temple god with a vertical eye on its forehead, glaring furiously, robes billowing, hair flying, barefoot on a lotus, fists clenched. Li Che studied the temple god carefully. The pure heart inside his chest beat faster and faster. Yet Li Che did not observe the temple god statue to capture its essence. In his mind, a daring idea flickered. The chess saint can use the immortal artisan's prototype of divine powers, 1,000 analyzing hands, to extract divinity from the dead, and then condense it into divine chess pieces. Only on the temple god. A dead god is also the dead. Can I extract its divinity? No sooner had the thought emerged than Li Che had already taken action, silently leaping onto the altar with 2 large red candles. On tiptoes, he crouched before the statue of the child temple god, his eyes gleaming bright under the cute bull mask. Towards the head of the child temple god, he slowly extended his hand. Chapter 71, The Patna-covered temple god's head, the Su family's spirit child. The snowflakes were instantly shredded, exploding into powder. Li Qingshan, wearing a cat face mask, hunched over as he exited the mysterious temple. He leaped onto a lush and verdant pine tree, straight as a spear. Under the black cat face mask, 2 eyes flickered with a ghostly glow. Li Che, lad, his mind drawn in and settled within, has observed the divine for 2 hours. Hopefully, the youngster can withstand it and not be harmed in spirit by the temple god's divinity. Li Qingshan muttered to himself. Then he turned his head towards the distance, only to see a figure in a white robe, with a white mask on, slowly walking through the snowy forest, with loose hair fluttering in the snow. On the smooth and polished white mask, no facial features were delineated. The newcomer had several statues hanging around his waist, each the size of a palm, carved with children's images, some worshipping Buddha, some crying, each with a unique and vivid expression. However, few possessed divinity, clearly, none were from the hand of a master. You've appeared again. Time and again, do you wish to battle me once more today? The man in the white mask said, his voice somewhat hoarse. Li Qingshan narrowed his eyes, focusing on the wood carvings hanging on the man's waist, sacrificing to the temple god, you've really got some nerve, hey? The man sighed softly and shook his head, it's just a desperate attempt at a cure in dire straits. If it were you, wouldn't you do the same? After all, we are just minor cultivators from the countryside, not the heavens chosen of the divine sex with resources abound, nor the divine weapons reserve supported by the imperial court's divine arsenal. Everything we have, we must fight for ourselves. Sacrificing is also a gamble. Li Qingshan shook his head and did not say much more. Everyone who does evil finds a justification of their own, and others cannot sway their thinking. Come on, old man. Though most of my divinity has not descended the mountain, it's more than enough to entertain you. Boom! Countless snowflakes burst from the ground as Li Qingshan's body became entwined with divinity, and behind the man in the white mask rose a millstone-like divine base. The two engaged in battle. Li Qingshan intentionally or unintentionally veered off the battlefield, clashing towards the deeper parts of the mountain woods. Inside the mysterious temple, the candle light flickered incessantly. Li Che's heart throbbed, this was the boldest thing he had undertaken thus far. Bolder even than the first time he had decided to kill. However, his impulsiveness was not a whim, after all, he had Flying Thunder Chess Saint. Should something feel amiss, he could trigger the Dao fruit, instantly teleport to the chess piece anchor point within the city, and leave. Li Qingshan had said that temple gods of 10th capital level mysterious temples corresponded to divine base realm and, although they were far stronger than typical divine base cultivators. But now, Li Che believed that beings at the divine base level, probably couldn't block his Dao fruit's ability. With this thought, Li Che's gaze became fierce. His fingers opened and closed, gradually pressing down. And landed on the three-eyed wrathful true lord child statue, full of wrath. In an instant, an extremely hot sensation spread from within his palm, as if what he had grabbed was not a statue but a red-hot branding iron, forged and tempered 1,000 times. Li Che's eyebrows knitted together tightly, his mind exceedingly cautious. His arm glowed with a jade color, shrouded in a hazy mist. The prototype of divine powers, 1,000 analyzing hands. In faint and indistinct glimpses, it seemed that strands of divinity were being siphoned from the temple god statue, beginning to condense into the shape of a chess piece. But, compared to condensing the divine chess piece from the deceased Zhao Suanhai, it was much more difficult. It was as if He was pulling up a deeply buried wooden branch, with the branch's roots tangled underground, making the extraction incredibly difficult. However, difficult as it was, Li Che had patience, slowly, enticing bit by bit. It seemed like he was engaged in a tug of war with the sleeping temple god. As if a thick and resilient divinity was being pulled from the statue, winding around the fingertips of thousand analyzing hands. 2 hours passed in Li Che's consciousness as if in the blink of an eye. When the sky gradually darkened, Li Che immediately released his hand. His figure retreated, jumping down from the altar. Within the mysterious temple, the candle light was dim, and the red-painted wooden statues seemed to eerily watch him. But Li Che was oblivious, his emotions surging as he raised his hand. Jade mist swirled, and a half-formed chess piece emerged in the palm of his hand. The chess piece was condensed from an exceedingly dark divinity, only half-formed. Yet, the strength of this divinity made Li Che slightly astonished, for it was even more tough and terrifying than that of the divine foundation fragment of the Si family's ancestor that he had obtained. He narrowed his eyes, raised his hand, and his pure heart Dao fruit beat vigorously. The next moment, the outpouring of pure divinity formed a white chess piece. As his divine cultivation improved, so did the number of pure divinity chess pieces he could condense. Li Che hid the divine chess piece beneath the altar, serving as a coordinate anchor point. Now that he was certain he could extract divinity from the temple god. Of course, he would find opportunities to pay several more visits. First, setting up an anchor point made the journey much easier. The day was turning dark, and Li Qingshan had not yet arrived. Li Che also didn't continue to wait. He turned his head to glance at the three-eyed child temple god seated high on the altar, then suddenly exerted force under his feet, his figure shot out like an arrow, erupting towards the outside of the mysterious temple. Having returned to the inner city, Li Che removed his disguise, collecting the mask, clothing and the like into his Qunkan space. Afterwards, he ordered some wine and dishes from the Golden Splendor Pavilion and returned to his own courtyard. His wife, Zhang Yue, was earnestly practicing her stance training in the courtyard. Ever since Li Che had taught her martial arts, she had been tirelessly practicing every day, knowing she started late and thus wanted to catch up to her husband through hard work. Husband. Zhang Yue, dressed in a practice outfit with a thin belt cinched around her waist, outlined her shapely figure. A smile immediately appeared on Li Che's lips, and he walked over to stand behind Zhang Yue, wrapping his hands around hers from behind. "My lady, would you like your husband to teach you how to practice boxing?" Zhang Yue's pretty face instantly turned a shade redder. After much affection, old Chen, who had been sitting under the eaves drinking from his calabash bottle for quite some time, finally couldn't endure the painful display. Cough cough cough. "Li Che, lad, I'm still here. Can you lovebirds not show off your affection in front of this old man?" Old Chen said, holding up his calabash, decidedly annoyed. "Oh, are you still here? Didn't go for a stroll?" Li Che turned his head, feigning surprise. "If you change your position, won't you not see us?" Old Chen immediately became even more infuriated, unable to stay in this house. This Li Che, he wasn't as honest as he used to be. With a huff, old Chen, clutching his wine calabash, decided to run away from home. "Old Chen, on your way, could you stop by the Su family's Divine Cultivation Institute and pick up XIXI and Big Head Lu?" The light, smiling voice of Li Che drifted out. Old Chen grew even more irritated. Life had become unbearable. Still, old Chen swiftly went to the Divine Cultivation Institute, picked up XIXI and Lu Chi, and with XIXI in his arms, a smile and doting affection spread across old Chen's face, and his thoughts of running away from home faded. Li Che might fail as a son, but old Chen had his dawn treasure. The following day, after sending XIXI and Lu Chi to the Divine Cultivation Institute, Li Che went to his private workshop. Having reached the Qi channel stage in martial cultivation, the usual practice was to train by mobilizing the body's blood and Qi, gathering Qi in the 5 viscera, circulating the minor circulation, and accumulating and strengthening the inner Qi, which were the primary direction for this stage of practice. It was similarly a grind. Even the cultivation of divinity was not neglected, practicing the wrathful Maitreya divinity and refining Zhao Suanhai's divine chess piece. It must be said that Li Che's divine cultivation progressed at an incredibly fast pace. The stream of divinity within the inner scene of the energy center was constantly growing. Once he had completed a series of daily essentials, Li Che put on a wide-brimmed hat and a cute bull mask, transforming into the bull demon. His mind touched the Chess Saint Deo fruit, and through the anchor point placed under the altar of the mysterious temple, he observed the situation inside the temple. Only then did he activate the Flying Thunder Chess Saint's teleportation. With a clench of his hand, Li Che held a white chess piece. But his figure had already arrived inside the dim three-eyed fierce True Lord Spirit Child mysterious temple. The temple was extremely quiet, filled with the pungent smell of candle fire. Li Che rubbed his hands together and floated up to the altar, beginning to siphon the temple god's divinity. Discover untold stories. It took roughly 2 hours to siphon half of a divine chess piece. It would take 2 days to gather a complete piece. This efficiency was heaven and earth compared to when he siphoned Zhao Suanhai's divinity. Days passed by, one by one. 10 days drifted by like grains of sand between the fingers. Having made a promise to the young city lord Cao Qing Yuan regarding the wood carving, Li Che didn't have the slightest inclination to start carving. Having learned the purpose of the city lord's mansion's conscription of wood carving masters to carve statues, Li Che no longer had the heart to carve. Inside the mysterious temple, Li Che deftly jumped onto the altar and stared at the three-eyed wrathful True Lord Child statue that seemed both angry and aggrieved for a while. "Old buddy, I'm here again. Striving to condense the fifth temple god divinity chess piece today. I'm about to finish refining Zhao Suanhai's divine chess piece, and my current wrathful mate Raya divinity has barely reached the cultivation as river-like level. Afterward, I won't have Zhao Suanhai's divine chess pieces to refine. Fortunately, this temple god's divine chess piece also belongs to the lineage of Wrath divinity. I just don't know how much more I can fleece from this temple god's divinity. Is it enough for me to forge a divine foundation?" Li Che flashed a radiant grin. Familiarly reaching out towards the almost varnished head of the child temple god, he began to condense his hand motion. Dark clouds piled up layer upon layer. The atmosphere was claustrophobic and oppressive, with electric dragons tumbling amidst them. Cold raindrops poured down from the sky, pelting the ground, exploding into mist, and shrouding the human world. In the inner city, the Su family. Outside the Divine Cultivation Institute. Electric light revealed one tall, dark shadow after another. They were dressed in black, wore wide-brimmed hats, and donned children's masks, moving silently through the rain. The Su family's Divine Cultivation Institute still has 2 spirit children. Old Su of the Su family has already struck a deal with the city lord's mansion, agreed to turn a blind eye. A tall figure adjusted his wide-brimmed hat. "Hat? 2 spirit children? Since we've come, naturally, we should take away all the spirit children of Su family's Divine Cultivation Institute. Act quickly, capture them and leave, and deliver them to the city lord's mansion. Once this matter is settled, our Yang family can organize our clan to immediately withdraw from Feilei City." Chapter 72, The Disgusting Noble Families, the Bull Demon is about to start killing. The rain curtain torrentially fell, sprinkling between heaven and earth. The grey, overcast sky, as if night had come early, made one feel extraordinarily cramped and oppressed. Thunder ripped through the night, the sudden flashes dispelling some darkness, but a thick mist enshrouded the entirety of Feilei City, making visibility extremely low. Outside Su's Divine Cultivation Institute, tall walls stood, and the guards responsible for security sought shelter from the rain. They hugged their weapons, leaning under the gatehouse roof, listening to the rain furiously beating against the black tiles, then to the scattered sounds of water splashing, slightly distracted. Ever since the incident at the Yang family's Divine Cultivation Institute, where the spirit child was taken after it was breached, the Su family and An family had strengthened security at their Divine Cultivation Institutes and increased the number of patrolling martial artists. The rain was really too heavy. It was rare to have such a thunderstorm before the winter had passed. The already cold temperature, together with the icy rain, instantly became piercingly chilly. "This damn weather, it's like the gods are furious." A burly martial artist guard leaning against the door cursed under his breath as he glanced at the hazy skies. As a blood exchange warrior with strong vital energy, he was not afraid of the cold, but being unafraid was one thing, being uncomfortable was quite another. "Don't let your guard down. This kind of weather is the best opportunity for those with ill intentions to make their move." A seasoned guard, with a dry pipe in his mouth, whispered. This old martial artist was also in the blood exchange realm, and moreover, at the 6 transfers blood change level, the rest of the guards were in the bone tempering realm. This kind of guard formation was sufficient to show how seriously the An family took the security of the Divine Cultivation Institute. "Boss, you're too cautious. The Yin family is a noble family of Feilei City, who would dare to attack the Divine Cultivation Institute. The Yang family back then didn't have the kind of protection that we have. A few guards in the bone-tempering realm chuckled as they spoke in succession. However, before their words were done, the thick veil of rain was torn apart, accompanied by howling winds and the explosive sound of tearing air. Giant hammers whirling furiously in the air thunderously smashed down. With overwhelming divinity spreading out, the guards were utterly astonished, but in the moment of shock, their minds were seized, and the hammers crashed down on their heads, bursting forth with white and red spray of blood. The guard sucking on the dry pipe, eyes wide with rage, grabbed his long sword and jumped to his feet. Divinity! Heart-shocking and sturdy! The Yang family! Yang family people! How dare you! The old guard roared furiously. But the next instant, a towering figure tore through the rain curtain, bringing a whining, screaming sound as it swung a giant hammer ruthlessly onto his head. The unstoppable force directly crushed the old blood exchange martial artist's skull. Act now! Amid the thick scent of blood, a towering figure wearing a mask of an astonished girl spoke indifferently. Several figures picked up blood-dripping hammers from the corpses and rushed into the rain curtain, charging towards the Divine Cultivation Institute. The heavy rain roared, causing beaded curtains of water to hang from the eaves. Nurse Momo, leaning on her python head cane, sat on a wicker chair, where curls of steam wafted upwards and the dense fragrance of tea lingered in her nose. She picked up her teacup and poured the prepared milk into it. Tea with milk, a method taught by an acquaintance of hers unexpectedly unique in flavor, she enjoyed it quite a bit. Thinking of this acquaintance, Nurse Momo's gaze unconsciously fell on the quietly seated, large-headed boy inside the room filled with the scent of sandalwood, meditating and cultivating his divinity. My grandson has grown up so much. Nurse Momo sighed. With the past carried away by the wind, she too had become aged. Li Nuangzai, focus on meditation and cultivating your divinity. All of a sudden, Nurse Momo put on a stern face and heavily stamped the ground with her python head cane. This startled Xixi, who had been half opening her eyes and sneaking peeks at the milk tea in her cup. She jumped and quickly closed her eyes, pretending to be very focused. Nurse Momo was somewhat helpless. This Li Nuangzai had an extremely vast divinity, naturally a superior grade spirit child, making her an exceptional cultivation talent. It was just that the child was too lively, only 3 years old, yet more vibrant than many 4 or 5-year-olds. Master Li is such an erudite and elegant man, how could he have a daughter so restless? Indeed, Nurse Momo couldn't help but use restless to describe her. Aside from Lu Qi, which child in the Divine Cultivation Institute hadn't been beaten by Xixi? Even 4 or 5-year-old boys stood no chance against the 3-year-old Xixi. This girl was incredibly good at fighting and extremely clever, the kind who used her brain in a fight. An innate fighting body indeed. The tyrant of the Divine Cultivation Institute. Beside Xixi, Lu Qi was also meditating with closed eyes. Suddenly, he abruptly opened his eyes, flinging his nezha-like braids and turned his head to look towards the room outside, far away from the extreme warmth of the charcoal hearth. There was a smell of blood. And fluctuations of divinity. Lu Qi frowned. Nurse Momo. Lu Qi opened his eyes. You should scold him. A child from the Su family called out excitedly. Lu Qi rolled his eyes. These little brats were truly childish. He, Lu Qi, was a disciple who had entered the inner sect of the Qian Yuan divine sect. If it weren't for the need to protect my junior sister, who has yet to be taken in as a disciple, I, Lu Qi, would hardly bother staying here. Lu Qi, close your eyes quickly, or Nurse Momo will beat you up. Childish, Lu Qi scoffed. However, no sooner had he spoken than Lu Qi regretted his words. Lu Qi, you dare call me childish? I'm going to tell my daddy. And sure enough, Lu Qi saw Xixi beside him, hands on her hips and eyes glaring, with a smug smile on her face, watching the meditation class that was about to descend into chaos. Nurse Momo grabbed her python head wooden cane and stomped it repeatedly. She was about to open her mouth to scold them, to maintain order. Suddenly, her wrinkled face showed a slight change of expression. Children! Get up and hide inside the room. Lu Qi, lead them. Nurse Momo's expression turned serious, and her divinity spread, suppressing the restless classroom. The sudden change in the old woman's attitude frightened the children, who, daring not to speak further, all ran towards the depths of the room under Lu Kai's lead. Nurse Momo, is there a monster coming to catch us? Before leaving, XIXI turned her head to look at Nurse Momo. Don't worry, as long as I'm here. Nurse Momo smiled gently. XIXI also smiled brightly, then you must be careful, Nurse Momo. After that, XIXI followed Liu Qi into the depths of the house. Nurse Momo stood there dazed for a moment, and then the next, her old face broke into a smile, feeling a warmth in her heart. The old woman stood up, turned her rattan chair in a new direction, toward the menacingly abrupt curtain of rain, where the rain smashed onto the ground, carrying the wild wind that swept in from outside the house, blowing through the old woman's dry hair. She watched the figures appear within the rain, each one wielding a heavy hammer, their vast bodies outlined through the misty vapor. The roiling intertwining divinity filled the air with exclamations and screams, unsettling the heart and disturbing the mind. The old woman sighed softly. Heart-shocking and sturdy, the Yang family, hey! When Yang family's divine cultivators could behave so recklessly in Su's Divine Cultivation Institute, releasing their divinity without any fear of rebuke from Su Heli, Su Baihu, Old Master Su, or any other divine cultivators from the Su family. Nurse Momo already understood the situation. Noble families are indeed noble families, years have passed and yet they cannot change their nature, to chase after benefits at the expense of everything else, truly, disgusting. These, are just children, how can they be so heartless? Nurse Momo murmured softly, thinking of XIXI's bright and adorable smile. Her eyes softened a bit more. The old woman twisted her python head wooden cane fiercely and in the next moment, she drew a sharp long sword from within it, accompanied by a clanging sound. In an instant, within the rain curtain, endless sword chi raged and intertwined. Weaving into a giant sword chi python, it faced the Yang family's divine cultivators coming with their large hammers. Children, I'm here for you. In the mysterious temple, Liu Qi, who was circling the statue of the three-eyed wrathful true Lord Spirit Child Temple God, suddenly opened his eyes. His body flickered, and he fell from the altar. Underneath the cute bull mask, his eyes were ice cold. Within his chest, the Dao fruit of chess saint throbbed violently. It was as if a laid-back chess piece was about to be captured. The immaculate divine chess piece he had hidden within XIXI sensed the crisis at the first moment, immediately bursting forth with feedback. Something's happened to XIXI, who dares to harm my daughter? A fierce aura instantly spread from within Li Chei's limbs and bones, causing all the red candles within the mysterious temple to shake and tremble. He closed his eyes and sensed the violent trembling of the immaculate divine chess piece anchor. Without a moment's hesitation, Li Chei grasped the air with an empty hand. In the next moment, he had already seized the white chess piece that had been placed within XIXI. In this world, Li Chei had a simple goal, a warm bed with his wife and child. His wife and child were the soft spots in his heart. No matter who it is. If you touch his daughter, he would kill them. The Bull Demon was ready to begin a killing spree. Chapter 73, Bull Demon and XIXI's first encounter. Niu Niu is a great hero. Thunder cleaved the night sky, and the flickering stream of light was like a deep blue divine dragon rolling behind dark clouds. The torrential rain pounded down on the human world, washing away the bloodshed as well. Golden Splendor Pavilion. Inside a private room, amidst the lingering scent of sandalwood, an Warren with a graceful figure was twisting to the music, her every frown and smile radiated beauty. The rich aroma of wine spread ceaselessly. Su Baihu gulped down his wine one cup after another, the liquid tracing down the corners of his mouth. His chest heaved violently, and a slight redness tinged his eyes. At his side, Su Heli elegantly sipped his wine and ate his meat. The treasured sword he carried close to his body lay quietly beside him. His eyes were fixed on the Warren's graceful waist, roaming over her exposed jade-like skin. Big brother, are we really going to just give away the Divine Cultivation Institute like this? With a bang, Su Baihu violently smashed his wine cup onto the table, his eyes filled with resentment. Su Heli's mood was interrupted, and he glanced over. We're just sending away Li Chei's daughter and that big-headed spirit child, none of them belong to our Su family, there's no harm done in sending them away. But it's the Yang family handling this, they surely won't just take two spirit children. And, just let them barge in like this, Nurse Momo, won't give up on these children, she's bound to die, right? Su Baihu's voice was somewhat hoarse and low. Nurse Momo. Su Heli fell silent. Back then, when we were spirit children, it was Nurse Momo who looked after us, taught us nurturing nature. Su Baihu poured himself another drink. It was the old Grand Master's decision, we just follow orders. Moreover, we can always have more spirit children, but, for us, there is only one chance. You should know how difficult it is for me to establish the divine foundation, and how low the success rate is. I have no other choice. Su Heli's expression gradually darkened. Su Baihu was aware of this too and let out a long sigh. Su Heli laughed coldly, don't try to play the good guy here. The old Grand Master made the decision, you were there too. If you disagreed, why didn't you speak up then? If you dare, go and talk to the old Grand Master about it. It's indeed a pity for Nurse Momo. But she's already old, and she would be happy to create an opportunity for our younger generation to establish a divine foundation. Liu Qi, pulling XIXI along with many bewildered children from the Divine Cultivation Institute, hurried toward the deeper parts of the Divine Cultivation Institute mansion. But the increasingly terrifying divinity outside evoked a trace of worry in his eyes. Nurse Momo. Could she withstand these divine cultivators from the Yang family? Among them, there were many divine cultivators whose nurturing nature was as vast as a river, including those not weaker than Si Mubai who had cultivated his chi channels to the peak of nurturing nature. Nurse Momo was old, her vitality waning. Though her divinity was deep, it ultimately couldn't reach its peak performance due to the decline in physical vitality, making her overall weaker than cultivators like Si Mubai at the peak of their power. Therefore, Liu Qi could guess that Nurse Momo, by staying behind alone to delay these divine cultivators, had in fact chosen death. Liu Qi wasn't naive, coming from the divine sect, he saw things more clearly than anyone else. The Su family, truly the same as most noble families, this is also a current flaw of the Grand Prospect dynasty, which has bestowed increasing power to the noble families. However, these families grow arrogant, becoming indifferent to human lives. For the sake of benefits, for the pursuit of power, they would abandon everything. Liu Qi let out a breath. But he didn't turn back to help Nurse Momo, even though she was an old acquaintance of his master. His current priority was to protect his not yet betrothed junior sister. The safety of his junior sister is paramount. Suddenly, Liu Qi sensed a subtle wave of divinity. His expression drastically changed. Find joy it. Looking intently, he saw a white divine chess piece shooting out from the body of XIXI, whom he was holding. Subsequently, Liu Qi felt darkness envelop everything around him. Mighty, majestic, dominant, powerful. That terrifying figure, like a mountain to the children, abruptly appeared. Standing nearly 2 meters tall, his muscles bulged as every tendon trembled like dragons, his mere presence suffocating. Beneath a cute bull mask were a pair of eyes releasing a fierce and overwhelming killing intent. This is Che. Bull Demon. Bull Demon. Liu Qi naturally wouldn't forget that mask, nor such a formidable figure. He abruptly halted, his eyes showing a trace of delight. He certainly knew the true identity of the Bull Demon. That was XIXI's father. And his strength was immense, even Liu Qi, without using the wrathful Third Prince's secret technique, might have his head twisted off. Why would the Bull Demon appear here? Divine secret technique? It didn't matter anymore. None of that mattered now. The Bull Demon was a fierce being, merciless in killing. With the Bull Demon present, XIXI's safety was assured. Li Che's sudden appearance startled all the children present, especially those from the Su family, who gaped dumbly at Li Che wearing the Bull Demon mask. They couldn't help but recall how their family described the Bull Demon. This was a massive villain who dared to kill even government officers and divine catchers, known to kill without batting an eyelid and liked to twist off children's heads to use as balls. At night, when they wouldn't sleep, their parents used the Bull Demon to scare them. If they didn't sleep, the Bull Demon would come and twist off their heads and kick them away. For a moment, fear spread and the children of the Su family collapsed to the ground, crying bitterly, with a few even crying and urinating at the same time. Li Che. Wearing such a cute cow mask as the Bull Demon, what is there to be afraid of? And I don't eat children. XIXI, however, was blinking her big sparkling eyes, staring at the Bull Demon with radiance in her eyes, showing no fear or fright, but rather full of excitement. Seeing that XIXI was safe, Li Che also relaxed. His gaze shifted, looking towards Liu Qi, nodding slightly. With Liu Kai's protection, he could be somewhat at ease. Niu Niu, you are the great hero Niu Niu that mother told me about. XIXI clenched her little fists, completely delighted. "I've finally met you." Li Che was startled. His eyes inevitably softened, a smile forming under his mask. He knew that while Feilei City was abuzz with the defamation of the bull demon, his wife Zhang Ye continually told Xixi that the bull demon was a great hero. After all, Zhang Ye knew the true identity of the bull demon. Zhang Ye didn't want Xixi to think her father was a terrible villain. Moreover, Zhang Ye also knew that the bull demon was a hero, protecting their little family safe and sound. A great hero of tremendous magnitude. "Niu, there are monsters and villains outside bullying Grandma. Can you take me to kill the monsters and villains?" Xixi stood sprightly in front of Li Che, who had activated the Angry Vajra Deo fruit and towering like a mountain at 2 meters tall, his chi mingling like armor. Looking up as if gazing at a towering mountain. Yet she displayed neither fear nor fright. The surrounding children of the Su family thought Xixi had completely lost her mind. "Xixi, run! He is the bull demon monster, the one who twists off children's heads to kick as balls." A boy from the Su family's Divine Cultivation Institute, who fancied Xixi, peed his pants while mustering the courage to shout at Xixi, who seemed like she could be gobbled up any moment by the bull demon in front of her. His voice trembled, but his bravery was commendable. At that moment, the boy's face turned red, feeling, perhaps this was the power of a crush. Li Che immediately narrowed his eyes. His gaze under the mask coldly swept over the little boy. He seemed to smell the sour stench of a secret crush. Just a glance. The courageous little boy immediately crumbled into pieces, his crying abruptly stopped, and he fainted from fright. Li Che didn't bother with him. He looked down at Xixi. "Aren't you afraid of me?" Xixi pursed her lips. "Mother said Niu is a great hero. Mother wouldn't lie to Xixi." The bull demon laughed. "Good. I'll take you to save Grandma," the bull demon said gently. The next moment, his huge hand like a fan came down, gently pinched up Xixi, and placed her on his broad shoulder. Xixi wasn't afraid, her little mouth curving into a smile, giggling joyfully. However, Liu Qi was not so relaxed, his expression extremely solemn. He took out the wood carving of the third crown prince, clutching it tightly in his hand. With many experts from the Yang family, what could one bull demon do to change the outcome of the battle? Several masters at the cultivation peak were present. Liu Qi felt immense pressure. Quite irritating. If it weren't for needing to rescue his master's old lover, Liu Qi would have turned tail and left by now. His childhood had only just begun, and he certainly didn't want to die. "Let's go. Niu will take me to save Grandma." Xixi, perched on the bull demon's shoulder, cheered loudly. With a flick of his fingers like hooks, the next moment, a small oil paper umbrella landed in his hand, handed to Xixi. "It's raining outside, open the umbrella, don't catch a cold." Xixi obediently took the umbrella. Niu, so considerate." The next moment, the bull demon's fingers clawed at the void. The intricately crafted mechanism Nemo Gatling wooden crow then fell into his hand, his divinity spreading, manipulating one wooden crow after another, whirling around the bull demon. Carrying the Nemo Gatling, with Xixi on his shoulder. Their large and small figures, amid 1,000 crows, moved towards the outside of the Divine Cultivation Institute. Chapter 74, A Clean Human World, taking Xixi to set off fireworks. Feilei City. Outside the city, the downpour was like pillars, as if the heavens had seen the evil of the human world and were pouring rain to cleanse it. In a leisure pavilion, a person sat upright, draped in black, their face covered by a cat face mask, their body hunched, carving a wood carving in the pavilion with a carving knife. The shockwaves of raindrops shattering on the ground merged together, the resultant gust of wind surged into the leisure pavilion, lifting the wood shavings slipping from the carving knife. After a moment, the wood carving took shape. It was neither a Buddha nor a deity. Instead, it was the elegant and pure figure of a woman, wearing a gauzy dress, holding a fine sword with a python-shaped hilt, looking over her shoulder with a hint of heroism between her eyebrows. The eyes beneath the cat face mask rubbed against the coarse carving marks with complexity. 40 years have flown by, and beauty has withered. No one can be young again. The reason he had come down the mountain without most of his divinity was not simply for the spirit child, more so, he wanted to see the beauty of his past. Alas, time is a sharp long knife that even cultivators find hard to resist. Without forging the divine foundation, one could not maintain their vitality and would gradually weaken and wither, and beauty would fade away. Outside the pavilion, the furious wind was howling non-stop, carrying the torrential rain. And in the four directions of the leisure pavilion, immense divinity twisted the sky, preventing the downpour from reaching it. Four masked figures stood in the curtain of rain, far from the pavilion, positioned to encircle, or rather, to trap the old man with the cat face mask inside. Four divine base cultivators taking action at the same time, this kind of display. It seems the event about to take place inside the city is no small matter. The old man said softly. He looked towards the four individuals, their four wheels of godly foundation shining brightly like the sun. Furious true monarch, heart-shocking and sturdy, wrathful mate Rhea, and Suansi Lu sword. The Su family is indeed a noble family. Others are trying to shake your foundation, and you don't stop them or stand guard, that's already quite something. But what's the point of coming here to be affectionate with an old man like me? Li Qingshan smiled. In his eyes was an unmistakable disgust and intention to kill. Su family's Divine Cultivation Institute. The wide courtyard was a mess, countless sword marks sliced across the blue stone ground. Among the dark clouds, lightning snakes traversed. Huff! Huff! The soaking wet nurse Momo, her face extremely pale, clutched the python-head long sword that trembled incessantly. Around her, Yang family cultivators, each wearing a child's mask, stared at her with icy cold gazes. I've finally grown old. Nurse Momo's heart sank slightly. Her vitality could no longer sustain such high-intensity combat. Su Mu, give it up, we just want to take the spirit child away. You don't need to lose your life over this. After all, you're a cultivator at the peak of cultivation. Value your life a little more. The burly man with a heavy hammer spoke in a deep voice. The voice was gruff, laden with vital energy, merged with divinity, seeking to influence Nurse Momo's emotions to elicit a deep sense of terror within her. Once terror arose, his heart-shocking and sturdy divinity would rapidly erode Nurse Momo's spirit. This battle was now completely devoid of suspense. In fact, there was never much suspense to begin with. Yang Kai-he, don't think I can't recognize you just because you wear a mask, old woman that I am. The entire Yang family wears spirit infant masks, have you all joined the spirit infant sect? Ridiculously laughable, a noble family like Fei Lei stooping to such sneakiness. I spit on that. Nurse Momo picked up the python-headed rapier, its blade still bright and white after decades, glinting with bone-chilling cold light. If you want to take away my Su Mu's children, you'll have to step over my dead body. Divinity, suddenly flares up like fire. Quietly burning in the pouring rain. Nurse Momo chose to fight to the death and did not back down. At her age, there was nothing for her to cherish in life. Refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. A faint voice came from the burly man wearing the mask of a shocked young girl. The next moment, the heavy hammer he held in one hand was swung fiercely. Vital energy burst forth, his burly body's muscles coiling like pythons, trembling and shattering the raindrops into fine mist. However, just as Yang Kai-he was about to swing his hammer and put an end to the old woman whose vital energy was waning, his ears suddenly twitched. Yang Kai-he's eyes, under the mask, suddenly narrowed. A familiar sound of explosion tore through the curtain of rain. Like a bird shrieking in agony as the feathers on its tail are plucked. An explosion. A dark wooden raven, carrying sparks of fire, folding its wings in as if it were a screaming dark arrow, shot forth. The heavy hammer was swiftly raised to smash at the fast-approaching black raven. Boom! An explosion ensued. The rolling flames erupted instantly, and the powerful blast wave dispersed the raindrops falling from the masses of dark clouds. Nurse Momo, who was ready to risk her life, was taken aback. Watching Yang Kai-he being engulfed by the firelight and stumbling backward, her eyes revealed a touch of astonishment. She suddenly turned around, her violent motion even causing a burst of water like exploding lotuses. Before her eyes emerged a figure more imposing and burly than Yang Kai-he. As dark and massive as a mountain, and on the shoulder of that burly figure, sat a little girl with bright, gleaming eyes fixed on the explosion. Li Nuangzai. Nurse Momo frowned slightly. Then she looked at the burly figure's face, only to see a cute, calf-like, damn it, bull demon. Nurse Momo's expression changed drastically, and she exclaimed loudly. The hand holding the sword felt as if it had been drained of all its strength in that instant. Bull demon. Fiercely malevolent, known for twisting off the heads of little children, the bull demon. XIXI, Run! Nurse Momo felt somewhat desperate. Wolves in front, tigers behind. Why do these children have such hard lives? As a spirit child, are they destined to become mere stepping stones on others' paths to cultivation? Grandma! Niu Niu brought me to save you. However, Nurse Momo soon heard Xixi's excited voice as she waved her little hand, her little face turning red, clutching a wax paper umbrella, eyes shining brightly, without any sign of being captured and threatened by the bull demon. It seemed different from what she had imagined. Nurse Momo was stunned. The bull demon just cast her a faint glance. Step back! His indifferent voice carried a resounding, heavy force. Nurse Momo reflexively picked up the python head thin sword and stepped back several paces. She then saw the strange mechanism the bull demon was swinging in his hand, with several metal tubes aimed at Yang Kai-he, who was blown away by the explosion. The metal tubes began to spin rapidly, as if they were revolving hundreds of times in the span of a breath. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Brilliant tongues of fire erupted from the mouth of the metal tubes, like a lotus blooming amidst a torrential rain. Wooden black crows shot out from the metal tubes, screaming as they streaked along with tails of fire, rapidly shooting toward Yang Kai-he. And engulfed Yang Kai-he, in an instant. The explosive fireworks that bloomed one after another couldn't even be extinguished by the heavy rain. The bull demon raised his chin, his pupils reflecting flames as a cold killing intent was crazily unleashed. Everyone who wanted to harm his precious daughter had to die. Li Chei's wishes were simple, just to give his daughter a clean human world. Thus, he would sweep away all the filth. Namo Gatling Wooden Crow! Roar! The rapidly spinning metal tubes gradually stopped, blue smoke spreading from the tubes and drifting away. Nurse Momo, sweating profusely, turned her head toward the direction of Yang Kai-he. But she saw Yang Kai-he, who had cultivated to the peak of the martial path with river-like chi channels, now in a pathetic state, his clothes torn to shreds, his skin blasted open, the mask on his face shattered long ago, revealing a face filled with terror. Bull demon! Bull demon! Yang Kai-he's mouth dripped with fresh blood. He remembered the scene where he was bombed relentlessly by the bull demon in the alley. Back then, there were others to share the bombardment with him. But today, he was the only one taking the fire. If it weren't for his breakthrough in the martial path, he feared that he would have been killed by the first round of mechanical bombardment. Flee! Yang Kai-he stomped hard on the ground with the tip of his foot, trying to swing out his heavy hammer and create a chance for escape. However, the bull demon, holding the strange mechanism in one hand, triggered the device once again. Countless explosive black crows, with tails of fire trailing behind, furiously stormed toward him. No! No! Boom 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 boom! Yang Kai-he had just managed a few steps when he was once again swallowed by the blaze. As another round of explosions ended and the firelight died down, Yang Kai-he had turned into a charred corpse, emitting intense heat and completely devoid of life. 60 rounds weren't enough, so let's go for another 60. I prepared 6,000 rounds, can I still not kill you? Li Chei spoke indifferently. But underneath the mask, there was a slight frown, the Namo Gatling Wooden Crow's power really needed further refinement. If it took this long just to bombard a Yang Kai-he, then facing a divine base cultivator, after 6,000 rounds of rapid fire, it still might not be enough to kill. The torrential rain continued, but the entire Divine Cultivation Institute was in silence. The remaining cultivators of the Yang family were dumbfounded. They had never imagined that their Yang family's brightest disciple, on the cusp of reaching divine foundation, would be bombed to death just like that. The bull demon didn't even have to lift a finger. The next moment, these Yang family experts broke out in a cold sweat. Frantically, they fled toward the outside of the Su family's Divine Cultivation Institute. Li Chei glanced at them and, without any courtesy, began another round of firing. Wooden ravens screeched as they streaked out, dragging their fiery tails, accompanied by a courtyard full of explosive fireworks. All these Yang family experts followed in Yang Kai-he's footsteps, dying within the artistry of explosions. Xixi sat on the bull demon's shoulder, delightedly ecstatic. This fireworks display was so dazzling. In her young heart, a deep impression was etched. Fireworks. I also want to play with fireworks. Fireworks suited Xixi, even more. All of the Yang family's experts were annihilated. The bull demon, with practiced ease, searched the bodies of these corpses, finding only a Kyunkan jade from Yang Kai-he and a dozen or so leaves from the others. After looting the bodies, he finally walked out of the dazed Divine Cultivation Institute, carrying XIXI with him. Nurse Momo finally snapped back to reality, leaning on her python-headed wooden crutch, supporting her soaked, frail body. She caught up. Discover Worlds on. Bull, hero, where are you taking XIXI? In the rain. The mountainous figure of the bull demon paused, attending to the askew wax paper umbrella in XIXI's hand, carefully adjusting it for her. Then he continued walking. Finally, a muffled voice laden with rampant killing intent, overpowering the storm, wafted to Nurse Momo's ears. To the Yang family. To set off fireworks. Chapter 75, Chaotic Joyful Bewilderment Divine, Explosively Kill Divine Catcher. Crackling and popping. The heavy rain washed over the ground, accompanied by a fierce wind, lifting white waves atop the pooling water that surged along the cobblestone streets. Within the blurring veil of rain in the human world, two figures wearing children's masks stood underneath their umbrellas on the extremely slippery and rain-washed black tiles of a rooftop. Raindrops battered against the umbrella, exploding into mist with a thudding sound. Ha ha ha, it seems, ha ha ha, it's over, isn't it? A figure wearing a mask of a laughing girl kept laughing uncontrollably, her eyes fixed on the Divine Cultivation Institute below the endless curtain of rain, yet her eyes betrayed little mirth, even a hint of gravity emerging instead. By her side stood a tall figure, his brow furrowed, a sharp long saber hanging at his waist. Did you hear that? The sound of the explosion. Just like that night. The figure in a mask of a terrified boy exhaled a turbid breath, his voice overpowering the torrential rain, eclipsing the laughter of his companion. And I smell the scent of fear. The one in the fear mask murmured softly, inhaling deeply. Fear, mingled with the scent of death. It was truly too intense. Are you talking about the bull demon? No sooner had the words been spoken, did both figures' gazes harden. They looked towards the rain-drenched street. Dark clouds massed, lightning snakes tumbled, illuminating an exceedingly towering figure. Bulging muscles under tight black garments revealed a sense of power, tendons straining like dragons, as he threw back his head and let out a long roar. A cute bull mask, yet exuded the most terrifying fear in the world. It is indeed him. Both figures were startled. Their eyes turned to a little girl seated on the bull demon's shoulder, holding a tiny oil paper umbrella, creating a clear patch of sky overhead, untouched by rain. The droplets streaming off the umbrella evaporated instantly from the bull demon's vital energy, not reaching the child at all. Of course, right behind this large and small pair followed a boy soaked by the rain, his hair in Neza-style braids. This odd combination inexplicably gave off a bone-chilling sensation to the two onlookers. Spirit Infant Sect. Li Che looked up, his eyes beneath the mask were cold as ice. They all deserve to die. No sooner had he finished. Thousands of crows cried out in unison. The Nemo Gatling wooden crow opened fire instantly. The metal tube rapidly lit and rotated, flames shot forth, blossoming into flaming lotuses. Wooden crows burst forth, screeching, like arrows from a fully drawn bow, trailing flames, headed towards the two standing on the rooftop. However, given the considerable distance, unlike Yang Kai-he, the two exploded with vital energy, shattering the rain curtain and steaming off layers of vapor, evading the barrage of wooden crows. After all, it's not fast enough. At a distance, they have time to react, but as long as the speed is fast enough, they won't be able to. Li Che frowned, silently summarizing the shortcomings. Those were the areas that needed improvement. A top-tier and perfect mechanism always requires refinement bit by bit. The rising steam dissipated, the downpour continued to lash down, and the two figures had already fled. Feeling the lingering divinity in the air. Terrifying trace of light and chaotic joyful bewilderment divine. Zhang Xiangyang and Zhou Ruiguan from the three great divine catchers. Li Che's eyes flickered. The pure heart Dao fruit within him thumped, instantly analyzing the origins of the two types of divinity. The divinity of fear, and divinity of joy, another two of the seven emotions. Li Che was suddenly eager. Divine Catcher, the government office. Spirit Infant Sect. Utterly ridiculous. The bull demon looked up, his mask soaked by the rain, put away the Nemo Gatling wooden crow, the bull demon's fan-sized palm steadied XIXI holding the umbrella. Girl, sit tight. XIXI's face was flushed, experiencing such an event for the first time, devoid of fear, but filled with boundless excitement. So high, So happy. She was almost crazily excited. Such a thrilling event must never be known to Daddy, he would definitely forbid such fun. Before Li Chei's eyes, light flowed and twinkled. Dao Fruit, Dragon Elephant Vajra, LV2, 75%. His martial cultivation had surged since breaking through his chi channels. The maturity of the Dragon Elephant Vajra Dao Fruit had achieved a huge increase. Li Chei estimated that to break the Dragon Elephant Vajra through to LV3, opening the divine vein would probably suffice, and at that time, the prototype of divine powers could be derived. Boom! Li Chei activated the angry Vajra, and in an instant, his chi and blood roared furiously, the horizontal refinement strengthening his body multiple times on the foundation of his chi meridian cultivation. It spread and intertwined around him like beacon smoke. At this moment, Li Chei felt that his horizontal refinement had probably reached the mysterious vein rank. Countless raindrops burst apart. With a heavy step, his towering figure shot through the air like an arrow released from a bowstring. In an instant, he leaped onto the rooftop, and with a heavy stomp, amidst countless bursting raindrops, he chased after Zhou Ruoguan, the divine catcher wearing the laughing mask. Zhou Ruoguan, like a hawk, sped across the rooftops in a desperate escape. Suddenly, hot-blooded chi as scorching as the raging sun came pouring over him. Darkness fell before his eyes. And then, the terrible, mountain-like towering figure was already blocking his way. The blazing chi and blood was like a mighty river, slamming against him. Ha ha ha, it's you. Zhou Ruoguan was immensely terrified. How could it be so fast? Not. He and Zhang Xiangyang had split up to flee. Why would the bull demon chase after him? Did he think Zhou Ruoguan was easy to bully? At that moment, Zhou Ruoguan felt insulted. Ha ha ha. Bull demon. You think I'm the weaker one, ha ha ha. Your story source. A roar intertwined with laughter. Zhou Ruoguan burst out laughing furiously, his chi and blood erupting, and an even more intense divinity emanated from him. He, Zhou Ruoguan, one of the three great divine catchers, a chi meridian martialist, his cultivation as river-like. Did the bull demon think he was trash like Zhao Suanhai? Without the fearsome apparatus and those explosive black crows, he, Zhou Ruoguan, would never fear the bull demon who was only in the blood exchange realm a while ago. Moreover, under the current circumstances, Zhou Ruoguan could only counterattack with all his might. The surging, overwhelming divinity of the chaotic joyful bewilderment divine, as Zhou Ruoguan brought his palms together fiercely, stirred the wind and rain, converging countless raindrops into a massive, smiling face. A multitude of chaotic laughter, assaulting the eardrums and the mind, overpowered the sound of the torrential rain, coming from all directions as if trying to bore into the brain. Divine secret technique, joyful flying head barbarian. However, just as Zhou Ruoguan conjured the divine secret technique, joyful flying head barbarian, it was caught by the bull demon's claw-like fingers and burst like a balloon. Zhou Ruoguan felt a chill all over. On the bull demon, there was a divinity far surpassing his own rank. Meanwhile, the rain plummeting from the sky didn't even touch the bull demon before being evaporated by his scorching chi and blood. The terrifying blood chi was like a high-temperature blaze, distorting the air, nearly suffocating Zhou Ruoguan. This bull demon, how had he become so strong? Such chi and blood, such horizontal refinement. Mysterious vein. Zhou Ruoguan suddenly understood the death of Zhao Suanhai. This bull demon was a monster. Ha ha ha, it's over, ha ha ha. I'm done for. The next moment, the laughter stopped abruptly. The bull demon's huge fist, enveloped in scorching blood chi, was already smashing down. It shattered the laughing girl's mask, crushed Zhou Ruoguan's nasal bones, shattered Zhou Ruoguan's skull. And then, the entire head burst open like a watermelon under a hammer. Chapter 76, XIXI sets off fireworks to protect Daddy, you filial girl makes me feel so blessed. He was dead. Amid the torrential rain, he felt a wave of fear sweeping through the air relentlessly. Zhang Xiangyang, wearing a child's mask, couldn't help but tremble slightly. The bull demon had killed Zhou Ruoguan. Out of the three divine catchers of Feilei City, the bull demon had already killed two. Now, it was just him, Zhang Xiangyang, left. Wasn't this lining them up just to finish the set? What to do? What should he do? Exposed in the pouring rain, Zhang Xianjiang's skin was covered in goosebumps, the cold seeping in from all directions. He didn't dare stop his fleeing steps, nor dare look back. The time the bull demon took to kill Zhou Ruoguan hadn't been long. If it really intended to catch up, it was indeed possible, and it could beat him to death. Suanmei warrior. Exaggerated, truly exaggerated. Beneath Zhang Xianjiang's mask, his face was twisting. What kind of monster was this bull demon? Initially, when the bull demon had killed Lei Chunlin, using the divine secret technique of terrifying trace of light, he had traced back the scene and seen the bull demon. At that time, the bull demon had barely undergone the blood exchange, right? How long had it been since then? 2 years? In just 2 years, from barely past the blood exchange to achieving the status of a Suanmei warrior. You must know, so many martial artists in Feilei City were stuck at the Qi Channel's realm, hoping to step into the mysterious vein with basically no hope. Even the 3 young masters of Feilei hadn't managed to do so. Yet, in just a short 2 years, the bull demon had actually become a Suanmei warrior. A monster indeed. Without turning his head, Zhang Xiangyang fled toward the city lord's mansion. Only the city lord's mansion, with the divine base cultivator stationed, could give Zhang Xiangyang a semblance of peace of mind. Li Che, from Zhou Ruoguan's headless corpse, retrieved the Qunkan jade and stored it in the Qunkan space. He casually absorbed the chaotic joyful bewilderment divine from Zhou Ruoguan's body and condensed it into divine chess pieces. The color of the pieces was also black. It seemed that aside from his own pure heart condensed divine piece being white, the rest, whether it was angry cry town ghost, wrathful mate Raya, today's chaotic joyful bewilderment divine, or the heart shocking and sturdy previously gathered from killing Yang Kai-he, were all black chess pieces. Even the divinity of the temple god condensed into black chess pieces. This made Li Che slightly puzzled, wondering. Could it be that only the pure heart divinity could condense into white chess pieces? Unable to find an answer for the time being, Li Che stopped thinking about it. Perhaps because of the training through absorbing the temple god divinity, the current Li Che was much faster in absorbing the cultivation as river-like divinity from these divine cultivators. He could condense a chess piece almost in a single breath, like Zhou Ruoguan, whose divinity was drained in about a dozen breaths. The divinity of Yang Kai-he during the process of body searching had also been drawn out by him. These divinities. He could only use them to speed up while practicing the divine method. Turning to Xixi sitting on his shoulder, the bull demon asked in a deep voice, "Girl, are you scared?" Li Che didn't cover Xixi's eyes, letting her witness the bloodshed. In such a cruel world, Li Che knew very well that exposing Xixi early to blood and cruelty would prevent her from being too naive and being deceived by others. Whether it's naive people or those with intentions. Xixi would at least understand the cruelty of the world and start to be cautious. A daughter raised in wealth remains wealthy. Being raised in wealth allows one's daughter not to be deceived by trifles. And seeing blood could impart some valor and fierceness in his daughter, ensuring she wouldn't be bullied without fighting back. Xixi, holding a little paper umbrella, didn't seem afraid of the bull demon's killings. Nurse Momo at the Divine Cultivation Institute had taught her that bad people should be killed. If you don't kill them, they will kill you. So, Xixi wasn't afraid. Niu, Xixi is not scared. Xixi shook her head continuously. Her eyes sparkling, rain washed over the umbrella, creating a misty spray of water. Niu is so powerful, Niu, can Xixi become your apprentice? Xixi wants to become powerful to protect her parents. Underneath the cute bull mask, Li Che was taken aback and then couldn't help but laugh. Become his apprentice? He was her biological father. But, feeling the deep filial piety from the girl, Li Che still responded with a laugh. Okay. Yay. Nurse Momo said that Xixi's father is too nice, honest, and simple, gentle and easygoing. Such a temperament makes it too easy for him to be killed, which Xixi doesn't want, so Xixi wants to become strong. At those words, Xixi's eyes shone even brighter. She sat on Li Che's shoulder, happily wiggling her little rounded belly. Master Niu, can I play with fireworks? Xixi asked with innocent eyes. Li Che was rendered speechless again. This girl, really. It wasn't about filial piety at all, it was just her roundabout way of wanting to play with explosive art. Master Niu, speak up. Seeing the silent bull demon, Xixi grew anxious. If I learn to set off fireworks, I can protect Daddy. Otherwise, Daddy will be killed. Xixi was truly anxious. Li Che took a deep breath. You really are filially pious to death, girl. You can't carry it. Xixi is very strong, Master Niu Niu. Xixi clenched her little fists. Li Che didn't doubt this point, as Xixi, being a supreme spiritual child, was naturally born with immense strength. Li Qingshan straightforwardly said this girl was a good seedling for cultivation. Since his daughter wanted to play with fireworks, Li Che naturally wouldn't refuse. He handed the Nemo Gatling wooden crow directly to Xixi. Xixi actually managed to lift it, though it was larger than her own frame and she struggled, her little face turning red. But holding the Nemo Gatling wooden crow, the little girl's mouth spread wider and wider, unable to stop herself from laughing loudly, ha ha ha, as if she had gone mad. Ha ha ha, Daddy won't be beaten to death, I will use fireworks to protect Daddy. Master Niu Niu, we go. Set off the fireworks. Feilei City once had 4 great families, the Si family, the Su family, the An family, and the Yang family. The Si family had become desolate and degraded, reduced to the smoke of the past. During the fall of the Si family, the Yang family prospered immensely. Most of the Si family's assets had fallen under the command of the Yang family. Yang family mansion. The family head study. The patriarch of the Yang family, Yang Kaihei, sat upright in a chair, writing something. His burly figure nearly resembled a small mountain, holding a brush like Zhongfei embroidering. The martial arts practiced by the Yang family was a horizontal refining method that continuously increased physical strength, which is why every member of the Yang family was robust like a small mountain. Has the common folk of the clan been arranged to leave the city? Putting down the brush, Yang Kaihei said in a deep voice. They have all left Feilei City. Now, those remaining in the city are cultivators above the sinew transforming martial cultivation from our clan. Once the city lord's 1000 Buddha carving banquet is complete, our Yang family will enjoy this final wave and then withdraw from Feilei City completely. We can give up this 100-year foundation of Feilei City. If the old man can use this opportunity to break through to the primary god base realm, stepping into the middle realm, our Yang family can also easily establish a 100-year foundation in other cities and climb to a higher level. The 1000 Buddha carving banquet, a sacrifice to the temple god. Should the temple god revive due to the devout sacrifice, blessings will descend, releasing divinity, presenting a great opportunity. Those of us who stay in the city, drawing from the temple god divinity, will gain no small improvement. Especially Kai-he, who even has the chance to forge a divine foundation. Our Yang family's channel opening martial arts, compared to the other families, are still inheritably deeper. It's easier to forge a divine foundation. Yang Kai-he stretched lazily, his muscles and bones making a symphony, his qi and blood swirling, causing a fierce wind to surge through the study. By the way, any results from Kai-he's side? Did he manage to capture the Su family's spirit child to the city lord's mansion? There shouldn't be any issues. The Su family has already agreed to this. Yang Kai-he sneered. However, he stopped laughing after a short while. After all, his Yang family had done the same thing. Selling a spirit child for benefits. It was merely the pot calling the kettle black. Beneath, a Yang family expert suddenly laughed. When the young master makes a move, how can there be any mishaps? With the young master's cultivation as river-like at its peak, combined with his chi channel martial cultivation, python muscles and tiger bones, unless a divine base cultivator makes a move. Su family's divine cultivation institute is just left with that old nurse Momo. This matter is very stable. The moment the words were uttered, there was a low laughter echoing in the room. Right, it was almost a sure thing. All of a sudden, the laughter stopped abruptly. They all sensed something and turned their heads to look outside. Their pupils contracted sharply. In the midst of a torrential downpour, a massive head shattered through the raindrops, stirring up a continuous mist, tracing a parabolic arc, and smashing into the center of the Yang family courtyard. The head rolled a few times, revealing a ferocious yet frightened face. It was their Yang family's eldest legitimate son. The future divine foundation seed. Yang Kai-he. No. My son. Inside the study, Yang Kai-hei's eyes were about to split, he let out a piercing scream, his majestic qi and blood exploded, divinity surging. He burst through the study door and rushed into the rain. However, before he even reached Yang Kai-hei's head, boom! An intense explosion, and flames shot to the sky. The gates of the Yang family were blasted open, countless fragments scattering. The acrid smell of gunpowder wafted through the air. Discover worlds on. Heavy footsteps, like the thousand-year bell chimes of an ancient temple monastery, echoed in the Yang family courtyard. Two figures, one large and one small. Master Niu, how should we set off the fireworks? A childish voice rang out, followed by a heavy, muffled warm voice in response. Set off every single one of them. Chapter 77, True Identity Exposed? The Bull Demon is doomed. Golden Splendor Pavilion. The strong fragrance of wine permeated ceaselessly. The sounds of strings and bamboo instruments filled the ears, the alluring atmosphere eroded one's mind. The Warren's graceful waist twisted like a water snake, captivating everyone so completely that they couldn't look away. Su Heli sipped his fine wine while fixing his gaze on the gorgeous Warren's delicate body, feeling a fire beginning to blaze within his belly. Su Baihu touched his nose, also sensing that something was amiss with the atmosphere. He stood up, said gruffly, "Big brother, I'm going out to get some fresh air." Upon hearing this, Su Heli smiled appreciatively and nodded slightly, very satisfied with the perceptive Su Baihu. And as soon as Su Baihu had left the box, the Warren's long and fair legs went limp, and she collapsed into Su Heli's arms, her eyes starting to glaze over. Su Baihu, a robust figure, walked out of the box with his hands behind his back, exhaling deeply. Outside, torrential rain fell in pillars, and the wind howled mournfully, the damp air rushing forward and striking his face. Yet, Su Baihu's body suddenly stiffened. He stared into the distance. There, even in the stormy weather, thick smoke billowed up like an angry, roaring black dragon plunging into the heavens. That's, in the direction of the Yang family. Su Baihu's eyes narrowed. Was there trouble at the Yang family? Weren't they supposed to be at their Su family's Divine Cultivation Institute capturing the spirit child? Why was there smoke rising from the direction of the Yang family mansion? Realizing something, Su Baihu's eyes narrowed even further. There had been a great mishap. He dashed towards the door of the box, not even thinking before he burst through it. "Big brother, there's been an incident." Inside the box, screams from both men and women erupted immediately. Bang! The rain suddenly exploded outward. A large figure in a rain hat, with a side knife at his waist, his strong and impressive blood energy evaporated the rain, making the water on the streets divide powerfully. The rain did not cling to his dark hair, dancing wildly like a slithering snake, muscles taut as an angry python. Following behind was divine catcher Zhang Xiangyang, his face full of trepidation. Both of them moved silently, landing in front of the Yang family mansion, where they instantly saw the blasted open gates. A strong burnt odor wafted out from the mansion. The two men exchanged glances, Zhang Xiangyang's hair standing on end. It was caused by the bull demon's black wooden birds that can explode and burn. Youthful city lord Cao Qing Yuan, his face grim, nodded, his divinity beginning to stir around him, making Zhang Xiangyang feel the weight of the world pressing down, struggling even to breathe. Even though he was a cultivator at the peak of cultivation as river-like, he still could not muster any resistance in front of a divine base cultivator. The bull demon. Cao Qing Yuan murmured gravely. Zhang Xiangyang explained the situation, and waves of unrest began to stir in Cao Qing Yuan's heart. So, the mission to capture the spirit child at the Su family's Divine Cultivation Institute failed. Cao Qing Yuan squinted his eyes. "You said Li Chei's daughter was sitting on the shoulder of that bull demon? This bull demon isn't someone easy to deal with, he kills without batting an eye, yet Li Chei's daughter isn't afraid of him." Cao Qing Yuan's eyes flickered with a dim light. Skilled in mechanical tricks, possessing strange wooden explosive crows, obviously, this bull demon, his wood carving skills are not lacking. This bull demon. Li Chei, is it you? Is Li Chei the bull demon? Cao Qing Yuan's gaze grew deep, recalling the elegantly dressed youth he had seen at a secluded workshop. The perfectly proper young man. That temperament, calm and composed, now he realized he must be the fearless wood-carving master. Could he be the ferocious, ruthless bull demon? Whether it is or not, a guess is enough. Rain off the edge of Cao Qing Yuan's rain hat fell like a curtain, revealing a pair of barely visible cold eyes, pondering for a long while before stepping into the Yang family mansion. Zhang Xiangyang dared not breathe aloud, silently following along. When the two saw the actual situation inside the Yang family mansion, they couldn't help but turn pale. This bull demon, how cruel! The Yang family has been annihilated. Liu Qi returned with Xixi to the Suji's Divine Cultivation Institute. He felt somewhat bewildered. He had expected a fierce battle today, only to find, following behind Xixi and the Bull Demon, he watched a grand fireworks show. Looking at Xixi in front of him happily clinging to a small paper umbrella, the cute little girl setting off fireworks was utterly wild and crazy. He was genuinely worried that this girl, exhilarated, would start setting off fireworks on him as well. Brother Liu Qi, my master Niu is amazing, isn't he? Fireworks are really fun. Xixi was bursting with excitement. So this is the joy of setting off fireworks. Liu Qi couldn't help but feel envious, just like when he envied Xixi's twist car. He wanted to set off fireworks too. Returning to the Divine Cultivation Institute, Nurse Momo, leaning on her python-headed cane, hurried over. Xixi, are you all right? Are you injured? Nurse Momo hugged Xixi, examining her with concern. That Bull Demon, did it hurt you? Nurse Momo, Master Niu is good, he wouldn't hurt Xixi. Xixi earnestly said. Nurse Momo's expression suddenly changed. Master Niu? You accepted that Bull Demon as your master. Silly girl. That Bull Demon, dealing with poisons, mechanisms, hidden weapons, extremely vindictive, and even liking to twist heads off, he's definitely not a good person. A proper demon. Oh dear, how could this girl accept such a demon as her master? It's absolutely sinful. Just as Nurse Momo was about to say something else. In the distance, Li Che, having removed his Bull Demon mask and donned a clean black outfit, holding an oil paper umbrella, walked rapidly from the midst of the rain. He had resumed the role of an old father. Ready to pick up his daughter from school in time. The rain soaked the cold, charred bodies. One after another, bodies were carried out from the Yang family mansion, while the bailiffs from the Black Yamen of the city lord's mansion were solemnly busy transporting the bodies. It was dreadful and horrendous. Excluding those family members without cultivation who were sent out of the city, and the missing old master of the Yang family at Divine Base Realm. One of the three great noble families, the cultivators of the Yang family, were annihilated. The Si family might still have surviving cultivators, barely clinging to life, continuing their lineage. Find new stories at. But the Yang family. Only Elder Master Yang was left alone to command. However, for Yang family, having a divine base cultivator remaining was still good news. As long as a divine base cultivator was there, it meant the roots of Yang family were still intact. It's just. Although Elder Master Yang was a divine base cultivator, he seemed almost 200 years old, unsure if his vigor remained. Could he still father children? Otherwise, the Yang family would ultimately have no successors and would gradually collapse. The rain fell from the thunderclouds streaking like electric snakes. Seemingly roaring at the human world, silent yet deafening. In the distance, inside a luxurious carriage. Brothers Su Heli and Su Baihu looked blankly at the one charred body after another being carried out, and the near annihilation of the Yang family sent a chill surging up their bodies. What a coincidence, too much of a coincidence. In the quietness, only the bubbling boil of hot water in the stove, Su Heli abruptly spoke. Su Baihu looked over, puzzled. It's Li Nuangzai again. Su Heli looked out the window at the endless storm, took a deep breath. Whenever it involves Li Che or Li Nuangzai, the Bull Demon is sure to appear. Without exception, from Sun Changbiao in the shop at first, to Lei Chunlin, to the later deceased Zhao Chuanxiang and others. They all harbored ill intentions towards the spirit child Li Nuangzai. I had speculated before, but then denied it, yet now, it's unclear. I'm so confused, my mind is so confused. Su Heli lowered his eyelids, covering his face. But soon, his body suddenly relaxed. Too late. Even if I had guessed, what could I do? It's too late. Now, the Bull Demon is increasingly unbridled, he seems, no longer worried about exposing his identity. Killing Zhao Suanhai, killing Zhou Ruiguan, killing Yang Kai-he, annihilating the Yang family. Su Heli raised his head, his eyes revealing horror. He's already shown his confidence. Even if he guessed the identity of the Bull Demon, what can he do? He, Su Heli, now couldn't defeat the Bull Demon anymore. So, should he go and be killed? Listening to the storm outside the carriage. After several deep breaths, Su Heli's eyes flickered slightly. If I can guess it, others who are keen might also realize the true identity of the Bull Demon, he won't be able to hide for long. Mechanisms, deadly poisons, hidden weapons, ambushes, disguises, such a refined and cultured person, who would have thought him to be this vile and cruel? Unfortunately, by annihilating the Yang family, still has an elder at divine base realm. Su Heli's expression changed, as he clenched his fists. Your confidence, can it shake a divine base cultivator? Even if you, Bull Demon, can kill Zhao Suanhai, Zhou Ruiguan and other divine catchers, when facing divine base. Bull Demon. You're doomed. Chapter 78, Inventory of Python Blood Pills, Mastering 7 Emotions to Become a God? The rain drizzled, gradually beginning to lessen. The dark clouds seemed to be dispersing. Li Che, holding an oiled paper umbrella and dressed in a black martial artist's attire, was spirited as he came to take his daughter home. He was fully aware of what had happened at the Divine Cultivation Institute. Although he now had the confidence of having his identity as the Bull Demon revealed, he still habitually concealed it whenever possible. Seeing Nurse Momo's pale complexion and the chaos throughout the courtyard, Li Che instinctively showcased his actor's self-cultivation. Nurse Momo, what has happened? He asked. Nurse Momo, seeing Li Che elegantly approaching through the rain, breathed a sigh of relief. As if she had finally found someone to confide in, she hurriedly recounted the Yang family's attack on the Divine Cultivation Institute and how the Bull Demon had brutally killed everyone. It was too terrifying, truly too terrifying. Li Che's face was filled with horror as he continuously shook his head. The enhancement of his physical strength also perfected his control over subtle facial expressions, making his acting even more exquisite. Big Head Liu Qi, tilting his head, was left speechless. Quietly watching him perform. After listening to Nurse Momo's narrative, Li Che, still shaken, picked up XIXI and took leave from Nurse Momo. Nurse Momo, for the time being, XIXI will not be attending the Divine Cultivation Institute. I am concerned for her safety, he said. Li Che's face was filled with worry. Naturally, Nurse Momo would not object. The Su family's Divine Cultivation Institute was no longer safe, and given today's events, with no intervention from the Su family's experts, it was clear they had opted for dishonorable actions. Such incidents, having occurred once, could happen again. Trust was already lost. Thus, it was indeed too dangerous for XIXI to stay any longer, and Nurse Momo could understand Li Che's sentiment. She, too, was unwilling to keep XIXI behind. In the light, persistent rain. Nurse Momo watched as Li Che walked away with XIXI in his arms, her expression tinged with a touch of wistful loss. Soon replaced by a trace of consolation. Li Nuangzai had such an elegant and amiable, simple and honest father. Although she had taken as her master the terribly cruel Bull Demon, her future path under her father's influence, should not go astray. She should grow up well. And become an outstanding, cheerful female cultivator. Li Che returned to their house in the inner city with XIXI. After putting away the umbrella and shaking off the rain, he held XIXI and walked towards the warm room heated by a charcoal furnace. Casually, he transmitted inner chi to the young girl to dry the dampness within her body. Daddy, I don't have to worry about you getting killed anymore. Master Niu Niu will make me very, very strong, and XIXI will be able to protect you. XIXI, held by Li Che and refreshed by the infusion of inner chi, snuggled comfortably against him, one hand naturally wrapping around his neck, she said happily. The girl's wildness had not yet subsided. Back home, as soon as she hopped down from Li Che, XIXI changed her tune. Mom, woo-woo. XIXI is so scared, there were so many bad guys. XIXI threw herself into Zhang Ye's arms, sobbing, which confused Zhang Ye, who thought XIXI had been bullied by children from the Yin family at the institute, and hurriedly held her daughter to comfort her. Mom, XIXI was so frightened, I want to eat meat, braised pork. Finally, XIXI peeked her head out from Zhang Ye's embrace, tears hanging on her cheeks as she cunningly spoke. Zhang Ye, heartbroken, naturally could not refuse. Mom, XIXI loves you. XIXI happily hugged Zhang Ye and said. Afterward, XIXI began to boast about her master, pulling Zhang Ye along. Zhang Ye patiently listened, her pretty face involuntarily blushing as she glanced sideways at her husband, holding back a laugh. This was both a father and a master. This old father truly had it tough. The night grew deep, the storm gradually ceased, and a chill wind blew in the air after the winter rain. In the study, A lamp was lit. After his wife and daughter had gone to sleep, Li Che came to the study to tally the gains from his great slaughter of the day. Of course, what Li Che anticipated most was the divine method. Yang family's heart shocking and sturdy, and Zhou Ruoguan's chaotic joyful bewilderment divine. Unfortunately, there are only two. Zhang Xianjiang's terrifying trace of light from the divine catcher has not yet been obtained. Li Che raised his hand, his fingertips gently slid through the air, suddenly tearing it open to reveal the space inside. He spat out 2 Qianqin jade, broke the divinity seal on them using 1,000 analyzing hands, and all the contents stored within became perceptible to Li Che. The Yang family provided the greatest bounty. After annihilating them, aside from the collections on every expert's person, he specifically visited the Yang family's treasure house. The harvest was quite substantial. Let's not even mention silver notes, gold bars, silver ingots, and other wealth-amassing items, there were too many. Li Che counted a bit, then couldn't be bothered to count any more. These noble families and clans, what they never lack is money. Apart from money, what surprised Li Che the most was the extremely well-guarded pill bottle in the Yang family's treasure house. Elixir. Li Che's eyes gleamed brightly. He took a porcelain bottle, poured out a blood-red elixir, the strong fragrance of which immediately permeated the whole courtyard. Even the channel-opening qi and blood inside his body faintly began to boil, stimulated by the potency of the medicine. Python Blood Martial Pill. Li Che did not recognize this elixir, but the Yang family's treasure house included a description next to the medicine, so he recognized it. Python Blood Martial Pill, containing vast medicinal properties, can only be consumed and refined by channel-opening martial artists, a single pill valued at 3,000 gold leafs, extremely expensive. In the Yang family's treasure house, a total of 11 martial arts pills were stored, obviously a foundation of the family. Li Che delightedly collected all these elixirs. Besides these externals, there were martial path cultivation techniques, martial arts, and so on. But what truly captured Li Che's attention were only the divine martial arts and divine secret techniques. Python Dragon Cannon, Cloud Harrier Treading on Clouds. 9 Luminary Level Divine Martial Arts, and 9 Luminary Level Divine Secret Technique. Joyful Flying Head Barbarian. The only 2 volumes of precious divine martial arts, as well as the divine secret technique obtained from Zhou Ruoguan, he kept. The divinity secret techniques were not preserved in either Yang family's treasure house nor Yang Kaihe's Qianqin jade, which was quite regrettable for Li Che. Aside from these 3, he put away the rest of the volumes. Some middle and lower vehicle qi and blood martial arts, he even planned to sell in the black market later for money. The money obtained could be used to purchase elixir resources, as he would need money to raise children in the future. After finishing the inventory, Li Che had 2 yellow leather-bound volumes left in his hands. 9 Luminaries Heart-Shocking Steel Nurturing Scripture and Great Scenery Town Temple 8 Extremes Chaotic Joy Bewildering God Nurturing Method. 2 Methods of Nurturing Nature. Li Che's gaze fell on the one obtained from divine catcher Zhou Ruoguan. Previously he had acquired the Wrathful Matriarch's nurturing method from Zhao Suanhai, also of 8 extremes level. The method passed down by Dying Temple Bureau, a complete set of 7 emotions series nurturing method. Li Che raised an eyebrow, pondering thus, it appeared dying officials were quite generous after all. A government job is indeed sought after. However, now it all belongs to me. Li Che's eyes sparkled, as he opened the book. In the Chess Saint Deo fruit, the chaotic joyful bewilderment divine chess piece, extracted from Zhou Ruoguan's corpse, trembled slightly, appeared one by one, and fell into his palm to assist Li Che in swiftly comprehending this nurturing method. When the sky was clear and the candle burned out, Li Che opened his eyes in the pitch-dark study, his eyes sparkling, divinity flickering, seemingly with myriad laughing voices, now far now near. He exhaled a breath of turbid air. Visit us it. Chaotic joyful bewilderment divine has also been cultivated, within the inner scene of the energy center, the third strand of divinity was condensed, and nurturing nature like a lamp. In a single night, Li Che not only cultivated chaotic joyful bewilderment divine, but also through refining the chess pieces, stepped into realm of nurture nature like a lamp. Angry Cry Town Ghost, Wrathful Maitreya, chaotic joyful bewilderment divine. The current Li Che had already cultivated 3 nurturing methods. 7 emotions divinity. He now possessed 3. Li Che's eyes shone brightly, his emotions surged. Could he possibly master all the 7 emotions divinity? If he mastered the 7 emotions divinity, and cultivated all to a high rank, what would he become? Would he become a god? Chapter 79, The Ominous Spirit Child, Divine Foundation. Old Deng. Holding all 7 emotions, could one ascend to divinity? In the mysterious temple, the gods had fallen. Could he ascend to godhood by this method? Li Che did not know, nor did he have any concept of it. Such matters were too far removed from him at this point. And he had only just begun to grasp divinity, having not yet forged even a single divine foundation. It was indeed meaningless to consider such things. Li Che's advancement in divinity was rapid, mainly leveraging external objects. With the divine foundation fragment from the ancestor of the Si family contained in Angry Cry Town Ghost, he easily reached the cultivation as river-like realm. Wrathful Maitreya was refined using the 18 divine chess pieces Zhao Suanhai possessed, having achieved cultivation as river-like. As for the recently mastered Chaotic Joyful Bewilderment Divine, it was slower. After all, the divinity had just started to condense, it would probably take more time to reach cultivation as river-like. However, given his current pace of refining chess pieces, it shouldn't take much longer. There is also Yang family's heart-shocking and sturdy, the 4th type of divinity. I should probably try it once more, he thought. Angry Cry Town Ghost and Wrathful Maitreya are both at the cultivation as river-like realm. Adding one to another. I wonder if it can match divine foundation. Li Che's eyes slightly widened, and different kinds of divinity intertwined wildly in the room, casting intertwining lights. There were lingering sobs, the roaring sounds of fury, and ethereal laughter echoing from afar. A myriad of divine phenomena appeared splendidly. Li Che sat cross-legged, a breeze fluttering his clothes, his black hair flying about. His eyes clear, the pure heart trembled, yet it shielded him from the influence of divinity, preventing distorted expressions, emotional outbursts, and chaotic thoughts. Like Si Mu by cultivating Angry Cry Town Ghost, he would often burst into tears uncontrollably. Zhou when cultivating Chaotic Joyful Bewilderment Divine would end up laughing incessantly. These were side effects of cultivating divinity. Li Che paced slowly, walking to the window. The heavy east was beginning to lighten, but was quickly obscured by thick clouds. I feel I've reached the limit. My physical body has reached its limit. Li Che frowned as he tried to retract the pure heart, which maintained balance in his form, letting the 3 kinds of divinity spread simultaneously. The Qi vein realm's blood and Qi burst uncontrollably, slightly trembling, his muscles and bones issuing a symphony, giving off a sense of uncontrollable divine influence. Had it not been for the suppression of pure heart, he might already display various embarrassing actions. Such as tears on the verge of falling, speech mixed with unstoppable laughter, or sudden anger with bloodshot eyes. Even if he did not activate the Vajra transformation, with the talent enhancement from the Dragon Elephant Vajra's Deo fruit, his foundation was extremely stable, his physical body unparalleled, yet bearing 3 kinds of divinity was becoming unbearable. Of course, it was also possible that the pressure from bearing 3 kinds of divinity was far greater than bearing 1. It was far from being as simple as 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. However, if Li Che activated either Vajra transformation or Angry Vajra, he likely could withstand the impact of 3 kinds of divinity with ease. In short, his physical body's horizontal refinement was still not strong enough. No wonder Senior Qing Shan said that to forge a divine foundation, the physical body cannot be too weak. When the physical body cannot support divinity, it will be manipulated by divinity, losing oneself. How then can one discuss divine foundation? Li Che now deeply understood this. Martial path cultivation is very important, still not to be neglected. Now he had only entered the early Qi vein, still needing to achieve mysterious vein, divine vein, and even strive for the Grand Master realm. Although he could actively stimulate the unmatched horizontal refinement of the physical body with the Deo fruit, the basic foundation also could not be ignored. The more types of divinity he condensed, the stronger his physical body needed to be. If the physical body could not keep up with the pace of divinity's growth, if he lost control of his emotions, would it lead to his death? For the whole day, Li Che did not leave his house. He did not go to the independent workshop, nor anywhere else. Enjoy reading it. It wasn't that he didn't want to, he was waiting. Li Che was not foolish, nor did he think everyone else was a fool. The more frequent the appearances and actions of the bull demon became, the greater the likelihood of exposure. And he had attacked the Yang family with XIXI, witnessed by Zhongxiang Yang. Even if they could not confirm that the bull demon was him, Li Che, based solely on the connection to XIXI, things should not have remained calm that day. There would always be some turbulence coming his way. Therefore, Li Che chose to stay at home, quietly waiting for a significant upheaval. Of course, while waiting, he did not neglect his cultivation. He spent his spare time studying the 2 volumes of Divine Martial Arts, Python Dragon Cannon and Cloud Sparrowhawk Treading on Clouds, he had acquired. Divine martial arts were also martial arts, requiring mastery just like cultivating the martial path. As for the 9 luminaries level divine secret technique Joyful Flying Head Barbarian, Li Che did not start cultivating it. Divine secret techniques and divine martial arts were slightly different. Divine martial arts could be approached as martial arts, augmented by the boost from Dragon Elephant Vajra's Deo fruit. But divine secret techniques required manipulating divinity in a unique route. Belonging to the category of magic, necessitating an understanding of magical techniques. Maitreya Gold Armor was also a 9 luminaries level divine secret technique, which Li Che had only just barely begun to explore. Feilei City, City Lord's Mansion. A figure swift as lightning streaked back from outside and landed on the ground with a fluctuating breath. Trailing behind was another figure, gasping for air at the brink of death. Cao Qing Yuan sensed it and hurried over immediately, shocked upon seeing their condition. Father! Cao Qing Yuan was astonished. Wasn't it said that he went outside the city to intercept that mysterious expert thought to be from the divine sect? How did it turn out like this? With 2 old ancestors from the Yang family and Su family added, that made 4 divine base cultivators, including his father, who was a mid-divine foundation cultivator. And yet, someone was injured? Second grandfather. Cao Qing Yuan looked towards the injured cultivator who had stepped into the divine base realm practicing the wrathful Maitreya, his mask shattered to reveal an extremely old face. At that moment, the old man's face was pale, blood trickled from his mouth, indicating serious injuries. It's fine. I'll just consume some divinity and heal after some rest. The old man said indifferently while waving his hand. Divine sect cultivators really are not comparable to us country cultivators. Even though the opponent's main divine base was not present and most of his divinity was concealed, he could still suppress us 4-1. This man is definitely not an ordinary cultivator from the divine sect. Which branch of the Qian Yuan divine sect does he belong to? His Qi and blood martial path must have already reached the Grandmaster realm. He suppressed us using just Qi and blood martial path. With divinity not manifesting, divine secret techniques, divine martial arts were never used, it was purely Qi and blood martial path. City Lord Cao Guang removed his mask, his expression dark and unsettled. I have heard about the Yang family's matter. Capturing the spirit child failed, only the Yin family's spirit child was brought, and those 2 divine abilities from the Su family, especially the superior grade spirit child, failed to capture again. Was it that bull demon interfering again? City Lord Cao Guang sat in the Taishi chair, his divinity fluctuating, his expression indifferent. Upon hearing this, Cao Qing Yuan's eyes flickered. The bull demon, once again intervened, saving Li Che's daughter, Li Nuangzai. It's definitely not a coincidence, and the bull demon has a very good relationship with Li Nuangzai. I surmise. Cao Qing Yuan shared his guess. Cao Guang took a sip of hot tea. You're guessing. Li Che is the bull demon. Isn't Li Che merely at bone tempering cultivation? And wasn't he just a mud-splattered peasant who hadn't even begun cultivating 3 years ago? Could he be the bull demon? Do you think he could hide his cultivation in front of many of our divine base? Cao Qing Yuan's neck stiffened, but he nodded anyway. Interesting. If he truly is the bull demon, that would be somewhat unbelievable. Cao Guang chuckled. The old man from the Yang family has also returned. Seeing that the Yang family has been wiped out, he's likely to be furious. The old man, usually so meticulous for his family, now faces the tragic end with his family's experts all perished. Even though there are still numerous family members outside the city, how could those members uphold a noble family? This old man is probably going to be driven mad. This is just right. Qing Yuan, make a trip there, and reveal your suspicions to the old man from the Yang family. Whether Li Che is the bull demon or not. To many people, no evidence is needed, a mere conjecture is enough. In fact, even if Li Che is not the bull demon, he must have an extremely crucial relationship with the bull demon. That superior grade spirit child Li Nuangzai has also truly troubled me, costing the lives of many under my command. An ominous spirit child, better destroyed. Sitting solemnly on the tan wooden Taishi chair, Cao Guang expressionlessly drank a sip of greenish tea water. As if in few words, he had decided the fate of that innocent young girl. The sky gradually darkened. In an instant, it shifted from early morning to late evening. In the study, Li Che finished refining the divine chess piece, and looked up at the sky. In the courtyard, Xixi happily played with her twist car, laughing incessantly with joy. Zhang Ye earnestly practiced her martial arts, sweating profusely. Everything was serene and peaceful. It was as though the calm before the storm. The tranquility lasted for an unknown duration, but when the sky turned completely pitch black, Li Che abruptly opened his eyes. The Dao fruit chess saint inside his chest quivered slightly. The heaven and earth chessboard shrouding the house vibrated as its lines interwove. On the chessboard, a tremendously powerful divinity manifested like a giant millstone-sized blazing sun, extremely conspicuous and stunningly dazzling on the chessboard map. It was as if there were screams everywhere, resembling cries, laughs, and madness, dense and overwhelming, sometimes far, sometimes near. That was the tyrannical divinity of a divine base cultivator. Brazen and unmasked. Like a river tide raised tens of meters high by a tidal wave, it surged forth with overwhelming momentum. Li Che swiftly looked up. Has he come? Old Deng of the Yang family. Chapter 80, Divinity on the Way, Bull Demon Battles Divine Foundation. The sound of sobbing laughter was filled with intense anger. But what was even more terrifying and uncontrollable was the inexplicable thrill of a piercing scream. Mad screams, frantic screams, soul-shattering screams. Sometimes distant, sometimes close. Striking the ears like thunder. Then exploding in the distance as if screaming at the sight of a ghost. It was a strange feeling. Between heaven and earth, the air seemed heavy and scorching, as if someone had raised their palm, captured all the air, compressed it into a mountain-like weight, and pressed down hard. Old Deng of the Yang family. Li Che's eyelids lifted slightly, his eyes clear and bright. As expected, they've come. For those accustomed to standing at the pinnacle of Fei Lei City, a single guess is enough. The identity of the bull demon might be speculated by some, but they couldn't be sure it was him, Li Che. Because it was too exaggerated. What strength did the bull demon possess? He could effortlessly kill divine cultivators with a cultivation like a river. And what about Li Che? Although he was a wood-carving master, he had shown only the completion of bone tempering, the initial stages of nurturing divinity through cultivation, and his cultivation time was no more than a mere 3 years. The gap was enormous, like heaven and earth, one could not even compare him to the ferociously evil bull demon. And many times, a single guess, is reason enough to take action. The Chess Saint Dao fruit network contracted, enveloping the entire yard, isolating the piercing screams, ensuring the ethereal heart-shocking and sturdy divinity between heaven and earth did not affect the people inside the house. Zhang Ye, Xixi, and Old Chen. They were all too weak right now. Facing the divinity of a divine base cultivator, it was very easy to be completely disturbed and suffer calamity. Li Che stood up, took down the conical hat hanging on the study room wall, and with a tug at his black attire, revealed the elastic black shirt underneath. Then his fingers came together, tore through space, and a cute bull mask fell out, covering his face. Old Deng of the Yang family was a divine base cultivator, so naturally, Li Che still felt the pressure. Could he now battle a divine base? Hidden weapons enhanced by the immortal craft Dao fruit, entering the angry Vajra state, the physique to rival a Suanmei warrior, mastery of 3 types of divinity, 2 of which were at the cultivation as river-like level. Was it enough? Su Yu had once said that the gap between divine base and cultivation as river-like was a rank disparity that was insurmountable. Unless the method of nurturing nature practiced and the divinity condensed, were of an extremely high rank. Otherwise, there was no qualification to challenge the divine base. He composed his emotions. Exhaled like thunder. The figure of Li Che, transformed into the bull demon, blurred and vanished. And then, he reappeared outside the courtyard. Li Che's body bang swelled larger, his blood surged, and he looked towards the distance, where Li Qingshan, dressed in green, stood at the entrance of the alleyway, nodding slightly to him. Finally, the wait for old Deng of Qingshan to return was over. With an old Deng to guard the rear, Li Che's heart suddenly relaxed a lot. He didn't have to worry so much about Zhang Ye, Xixi, and old Chen's safety anymore. He himself could let loose. As the bull demon, Li Che's stature reached 2 meters, and under the Vajra transformation, his blood and chi boiling without cease. He saluted Li Qingshan with a fist, then bent his knees, and when he stood straight, his body had already shot forth like an arrow released from a bow, disappearing in an instant. After the departure of the bull demon, Lu Qi poked his head from the courtyard and ran beside Li Qingshan. Touching his Neza-braided big head, he looked at the old man with confusion. "Master, aren't you going to make a move? Are you really letting the bull demon deal with old Deng of the Yang family on his own? That's a divine base cultivator." Li Qingshan patted Lu Kai's big head, the familiar touch giving him some peace of mind. "It's okay, let him try if he wants. After all, your master is backing him up. That divine base of the Yang family, after all, is not one of those genius divine bases on the Yunzhou Divine Foundation spectrum from Lingnan Circuit. Although he has cultivated the Jiao Yang Xing method, the divine base he has barely forged is just at the 10 cities level, and the rank suppression power isn't that strong. Moreover, this old ancestor of the Yang family took part in besieging me, and I've given him a beating, so he's carrying injuries. If the bull demon can't overpower, with his breath concealment ability, he should be able to flee if he wishes." Li Qingshan stretched lazily and said. "Ah? They dared to besiege you, master? How could they dare? Why didn't you just kill them all?" Lu Qi was immediately surprised and looked up at Li Qingshan, wondering why Li Qingshan's actions had seemingly become so gentle. "That Xiao Guang, there's an issue, a big one." Li Qingshan's eyes flickered, seemingly feeling a bit embarrassed, and he said distantly. "But it doesn't matter, I have already communicated with my main body's divinity, which is on its way at full speed. When the divinity returns to the body, I must, at the first opportunity, smash him to death." Read now on. Feilei City, Inner City. The dark clouds had amassed for quite some time when winter thunder suddenly exploded with a roar. From the heavens descended a sharp winter rain, as delicate as cow hair, mixed with swirling snowflakes amidst the wind. Drifting aimlessly, it engulfed the entire world in a hazy veil, but this mistiness was suddenly torn and shredded amidst piercing screams of extreme agony. It was as if an invisible sword danced wildly through the heavens, slashing frenetically. A figure with a head of white hair, burly and robust, strode through the streets like a mountain of flesh. With each step he took, the cobblestone street trembled and shook, every inch of his flesh quivering as if screaming in twisted, shrill horror. The newcomer, his face unmasked, white hair flowing free, his body burly as a mountain. His blood and energy interwoven, transforming into a roaring python. His scarlet eyes seemed to weep blood, filled with pain, sorrow, and, most of all, an aura of murderous intent. The Yang family had almost been wiped out. His beloved grandson, the one most likely to forge a divine foundation, Yang Kai-he, had been killed. All of the Yang family's experts had been cleanly slaughtered. His family's century-old foundation had crumbled. Oh, how painful it was! He had only sent off Yang Kai-he to the Su family to capture a spirit child, so how could he have died? With so many experts in the Yang family, how could they all have been wiped out? A solid century-old foundation, how could it have vanished like smoke? Now there was only him, an old man, and his family was gone. Bull demon! Bull demon! The low roar erupted from the throat of the old ancestor of the Yang family, his body inflating like a balloon about to burst, growing bigger and bigger. A divine foundation like a millstone suspended behind him, continuously overflowing with a heart-shocking and sturdy divinity. The divinity became nearly tangible, like the tentacles of an octopus, slowly draping over the elderly man's body that resembled a mountain of flesh, sinking into his sinew, driving his consciousness into frenzy. Boom! His foot stomped down, and the cobblestones cratered, creating collapsed footprints and a web of spreading cracks. That's how he walked, step by step, leaving behind dense footprints and fissures. Suddenly, that stomping foot halted with a crash, the water splashed by the impact shimmered outwards as though frozen in the air. Elder Master Yang of the Yang family, a cultivator of the primary god base realm, suddenly looked up. His white hair fluttered wildly, his scarlet eyes fixatedly stared down the street. There! A tall figure in black clothes, wearing a brimmed hat, stood quietly amidst the stormy street. As the hat lifted, a rain-spattered cute bull mask was revealed. Bull demon! Bull demon! The old ancestor of the Yang family, Yang Jing, with his full head of white hair and a body as robust as a mountain of flesh, screamed in ultimate despair. Countless raindrops, countless water droplets that had splashed from the ground, all burst into a foggy mist amidst his high decibel, terrifying scream. It's me. The tall bull demon in the hat, mask, and black clothes, his blood and energy intertwined as he faced the exhausted, agonized screams of the elder Master Yang. He calmly replied, as though it were nothing more than a casual greeting between neighbors. The agonized screaming stopped abruptly. Yang Jing's scarlet eyes, manipulated by heart shocking and sturdy, had, at that moment, frozen in slight bewilderment. But soon, ubiquitous screams and a dazzling air blast exploded, shattering the dense rain like a dragon. So you're the bull demon. The bull demon who killed my whole family. It was as if the air warped and blurred. Yang Jing, his divine millstone rising behind him, hair disheveled and savage, looked like a mountain covering the skies. Blocking all the light, he suddenly appeared above the bull demon. Thud. His fatty fist slammed into the bull demon's crossed arms in defense. Rip rip rip. The sleeves of the elastic shirt exploded, revealing steel muscles coiled like dragons. But Yang Jing's crazed will was momentarily baffled, his vision, stimulated by divinity, widening with shock. Because this bull demon, who had clearly not yet forged a divine foundation, had withstood his punch. And was completely unmoved.